Really, really, really wanna take a bite. Really, really, really wanna take a bite. Girl, lean back. Why don't you relax? I wanna kiss your two lips, yeah. You got me feeling scandalous, scandalous. The way your flower blooms for me is dangerous. And with your pink crush velvet touch, I can't get enough, girl. You know I love two lips. Ooh, you're sweet like honey, baby, so delicious. You got me feeling so good, it's ridiculous. With your pink crush velvet touch, I can't get enough, girl. You know I love two lips. La, 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 ooh. I can't get enough, girl. You know I love two lips. I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, begging, begging for it. Apology that you'll never, ever, ever forget. I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, begging, begging for it. Got me begging for it. Got me begging for it. I wanna kiss your two lips. Ooh, yeah. You got me feeling scandalous, scandalous. The way your flower blooms for me is dangerous. With your pink crush velvet touch, I can't get enough. Girl, you know I love two lips. You're sweet like honey, baby, so delicious. You got me feeling so good, it's ridiculous. With your pink crush velvet touch, I can't get enough. Girl, you know I love two lips. La, 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 ooh. I can't get enough, girl. You know I love two lips. I love the way you look, girl. Get over here, right quick. I can't get enough, girl. You know I love two lips.
We're in a room full of people, but you're talking to me. And I know you gotta go, but you don't wanna leave. Can be like I'm the most amazing thing that you ever seen. And I like it, yeah, I like it. And I didn't know running your hands through your hair could look so good, but the way you do it, you got me hooked, I'll admit. I'm hoping you don't see what it does to me when you say my name randomly. And I can't compete with my heartbeat, you're taking over me, I surrender. Breathing that nighttime air, you got me wide-eyed, messy hair. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, but I just don't care. And I just can't take this feeling right here. But I like it, I like it, yeah, I like it. You say goodbye for today, and I know what that means. You'll reach out to me now, put your arms around me. And for a couple seconds, I don't think I can breathe. And I like it, yeah, I like it. And I didn't know seeing your name on my phone could look so good, but the way you say hello, you got me hooked. Don't you know? Hoping you don't see what it does to me. What if you wear that tee with those jeans? And I can't compete with my heartbeat. You're taking over me, I surrender. Just breathing that nighttime air, you got me wide-eyed, messy hair. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, but I just don't care. And I just can't take this feeling right here. But I like it, I like it, yeah, I like it. I can't compete with my heartbeat. I can't compete with my heartbeat. Just breathing that nighttime air, you got me wide-eyed, messy
so I won't worry, 'cause if I fall, I win every time I get up again. 'Cause I can't lose if I keep learning. I'm learning, learning. I'm learning, learning. Let them shout from the bleachers every time I don't get it right. Ooh, yeah. 'Cause I know my failure's my teacher, and I'm still here in the fight. Yeah, I know I can take it every day. If there's a way you will make it, I won't be afraid, 'cause I'll be like, hey, whatever comes my way, I'm not turning back. I know your love won't leave, so I won't worry, 'cause if I fall, I win every time I get up again. 'Cause I can't lose if I keep learning. I'm learning, learning. I'm learning, learning. No easy way, it's no shortcuts, gotta seize the day.
ASL.
What is up? I'm Tasteless, joined today with Rapid, and this is yet another day of the ASL.
It's going to be a great day today. Every day, a good day to cast
Yeah.
Brood War in 2016.
What is going on, man? This game is 18 years old. It's old enough to die for its country. It's not old enough to buy alcohol in the United States.
But still actually super cool. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming down
No
here.
problem.
If I had to solo cast this, I know what that does to my brain, and I definitely leave like with, you know, like that feeling you have when you're trying really hard at something for a long time, like Brood War, for instance, and your head feels like hot and heavy.
Right.
That's what I get when I'm done with a solo cast.
I kill enough brain cells every day. It's nice to do something that's good for it.
This is going to be much smoother with you here. If you guys are unfamiliar with Rapid, he casts over at Spo TV, and you are familiar with Brood War.
That is true. I actually used to do a couple seasons of the Shinhan Bank Pro League way back in the day when I think Diggity made a video about how to record your own voice, so definitely don't go find those VODs.
Oh, yeah.
They're out
my
there.
God. If you guys want to see, you guys can look up stuff from me when I was casting Brood War, like 10 years ago. I am horrible. I actually can't even watch my old stuff.
You actually have a TL thread called Tasteless's Voice, kind of like Nada's body. It's just as beautiful.
Voice. Why is Tasteless's voice sound so different back then? Because I didn't know how to control it back then. So I was just screaming and squealing.
Guys, what's up?
Who do so many Charlings? So we have 4 matches tonight. Best of 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the results are from what we've already casted here at the ASL. So this is what the groups are looking like. By the way, we don't go through just one group in a day. We just do a match from each group. So what is this cool-ass music playing?
It really is. The entire music for this is like
some Egyptian
synonymous with Brood Wars. You have to have sick-ass music, and that is exactly what we have.
They usually do a lot of, like, I remember they used to put a lot of Marilyn Manson music in those older, like those OSL trailers and stuff like that. So cool. So it's going to be a best of 1. This is the traditional Brood War format. By the way, guys, get out there and tell your friends to join us. The ASL, this is not a one-time thing. This is going to be a regular thing. We are basically making a sister tournament for the GSL. So if you like StarCraft 2, there's no reason why you wouldn't like StarCraft 1.
It's got the kind of the same units, some new units, or some units that you're used to that work in a different way.
Yeah, and we'll be exploring that too when we get into it. But definitely let people know that this is happening. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are just too young to know what Brood War was all about, or why there was so much hype behind StarCraft 2 when it was coming out. Brood War is basically, strangely, the most balanced game that ever came out. totally by accident.
And the only game I can think of that has like that same idea is like Super Smash Brothers Melee. If you guys play,
that's
like
another
that game
good
that
example.
was made and then nobody touched it, but it's still so freaking good.
Yeah, it's wild. They're still figuring stuff out with Smash, just like they are with Brood War. But very balanced with the races. You really can't contest it. This is actually the oldest esport, and it's still, by the way, huge in Korea. So this is not like we dug up a couple of old dinosaurs and sat them down in the studio.
Ms. Pac-Man versus
That's
Mr.
right.
Pac-Man.
It's like, this is actually, this is totally different. These guys never stop playing Brood War. It's still very competitive. There's a lot of money on the line here. So these games are going to be fantastic.
And you're still learning new things about the game.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, you guys will be learning with us because these are still players who some of them are actually newer. Some of them are just big streamers who are also just incredibly sick at the game. And a lot of them are older names that we'll be able to sort of introduce to you guys all over again in 2016.
Right. Especially with one of our first players, Effort. This guy,
oh my God,
so good. I actually think he is the best player in the world right now. He just won the last Brood War tournament that Artosis and I casted. But, well, let's go ahead and take a look at these guys right here, right now. So these are the matches we're going to have. Again, best of one. We're going to start out with Effort versus Free. These two guys, a lot of history. But Effort, I watch this guy's stream very regularly. He is a badass killer. I actually think he's better than Flash right now.
Oh, man.
I'm going to get some hate for that, but I'm a big boy.
Right with angry tweets right now.
Rally the Flash. The Flash apologists. Get him over here.
And then after that, we've got Sharp versus Larva, two of the newer players, or at least players with the least history.
Right.
But they're both super popular on Afrika if you ever watch their streams. Big BJs out there, and it's broadcast jockeys, in case you guys did not know that.
No, it's definitely, they didn't label that thinking of an English audience. They call it BJs there, but forever high school, right? We also got Zero against Mine coming up here. That may be our best match of the night. Also, last versus best. Very exciting as well.
Yeah, it's our last match, and it might just be our best match, Tasteless.
We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight, guys. Now, if you're not familiar with StarCraft 2, chill out. Or I mean StarCraft 1, excuse me. Chill out.
If you're not familiar with StarCraft 2, you're in the right place.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with StarCraft 2, you're probably like, who are these people and why are they also now casting this? So, if you were a StarCraft 2 guy, you didn't have time to grow up with Brood War, we are going to hold your hand through this cast. We're going to make it accessible. Rapid is going to be asking me a lot of questions that you guys might want to be asking me. I did play Brood War competitively and then ended up casting it because I eventually had to get a job somehow making money. And Brood War in the United States back then, there was no money at all.
G5 just took it from all those nerds.
G5 basically beating everybody up, and he made like $600 that year.
Yeah, man.
But out here in Korea, it's a different beast. It's very competitive. So I'm looking forward to this. So we're going to have Effort versus Free here. Now, we already saw one game that Effort played against Shuttle. He went for a 5 pool, which is about as quickly as you can possibly get a spawning pool.
The quickest, of course, is 4 pool.
Right,
and that's like so cheesy. It's like super, super early.
It's actually kind of worth it to just get that one extra drone.
Right.
Here are the predictions that we had here. Wow, 100%.
Oh,
that's
my
crazy.
God. Oh, okay. I thought I was being controversial with a 70%.
100%. Look at us. Look like a couple of wussies here.
Well,
with our stuff.
Anything could happen.
I mean, okay, so like for what we were saying earlier, Shuttle actually beat Effort. Effort gets Crazy Rush. By the way Shuttle held that is not a way I've seen a Protoss hold a rush.
What's a shield battery?
He made a shield battery. We actually had a shield battery in the game. I don't think Effort's going to rush this time, but I think if Effort plays a standard game, he should be able to beat Free here.
Right, and one of the Effort's best matchups historically has always been ZVP. So definitely one that he knows, not just now, but always. And of course, Free, I mean, he's no slouch either. One of the top 6 Protoss, and what was the world at that point?
Right. And there's a lot of pressure here on Effort. The fact that he already lost one game, he really is not allowed to make any mistakes. Effort did win our most recent StarCraft Brood War tournament here at Africa, defeating Bisu. So a lot of people are expecting him to win here, but he's got to get out of this group. A lot of pressure.
Oh my God, so much hype coming into these games. Definitely get out there. Tell your friends the Brood War is back.
Do the right thing, guys. Get out there. Get your friends to join us here. I promise you this is going to be fun. This is the game that started it all, and it is back with a vengeance now. since Africa is now supporting not just StarCraft 2, but StarCraft 1 as well. Anyways, let's get ready for our first match tonight. Effort versus Free, Game 1 in tonight's ASL.
김정우, 윤용태, ASL 시즌 1 16강.
Okay, over here in the upper right, it is Effort, the Zerg player, along with Zero, the two best Zergs that are out right now. Very scary guy to play against. And his opponent over here in the yellow is going to be Free.
All right, so do you have to watch out for any of those 5-pool or early Zergling rushes? And that's actually one of the cool things about Brood War is that you can actually have games that just end super, super quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So you can have a game that ends in like 3 minutes, or you can have a game that goes on for about an hour and 10 minutes sometimes. So there's a little bit more of space compared to most other games. StarCraft 2, that's a little bit more refined, I think, because the control scheme and the AI is so clean early on that people can kind of hold off everything. In Brood War, it's a little bit trickier. There's a lot more abusive stuff you can do with the micro.
And we see, at least from what it looks like, Free starting up or setting up for an early expansion pylon right at the entrance to his natural. So nothing certainly super early game focused from him.
Yeah, the only thing he might try to do is make a cannon, a forge, and then try to cannon rush. But interestingly enough, and this is where you can see the meta's even changed. When I was playing, and I played for the majority of the time that Brood War was out, because I wasn't really casting full time back then either. I'd get some gig overseas, like in Italy, and I'd be like, okay, cool, I have a free trip to Italy, and I make like a little bit of extra cash. But I was still playing the whole time. Normally, players would actually scout with the probe that makes the pylon. He's not scouting at all, which is risky to say the least, especially considering that Effort did do that 5-pool in the first game that he had here. So interesting. Let's see. What does he get? A forge here, and then probably a Nexus behind that.
Right, so this would be your version of the Forge Fast expand.
Right.
It's what it's referred to as, and it's a great way of being able to have a very economic start without having to spend all your money making units to defend that Nexus. You just build cannons. Cannons are pretty good.
Yeah, they're much better in StarCraft 1. Although they die very fast.
They do, especially against Zerglings. If you get the surround.
Hydras too, man, just blow it up. But this is a good build. If you guys wanted to steal a build, now you are probably going to lose if they do a rush. Normally, if you get a forge and you see that they're rushing you, what you do is you make a pylon actually in your main, and then you make one cannon there, and you just like hold off the lings with just a cannon and like start over because they're so behind on drones.
And then you probe drill them so the Zerglings can't hit the cannon, and you just have these epic hold-offs. Well, so what we're seeing right now is the third hatch come down. This is pretty standard, but I don't believe this has a gas at the expansion.
Yeah, I think you're correct. This is actually pretty common, guys. A lot of the more convenient third bases in Brood War are gasless.
But Tasos, I play StarCraft 2, and all the bases have 2 gas.
Have 2 gases, that's right. Very different game. I think especially early on, gas is not as big of a commodity as it is in StarCraft 1. You can do a lot with just minerals. So what we're seeing right now is so far sizing up to be a very textbook Protoss versus Zerg.
Right, it's not going to end as early as the last game that Effort played versus Shuttle, so we finally get a chance to see more of what Effort is made of, these longer games, and sometimes when games go super long and in whatever esport you're talking about, it can get a little bit boring, but with Brood War, you actually start to see these huge armies and just how talented these players are at controlling.
Yeah, I want to talk about that actually, if I may. So, if you guys have never played Brood War, one important thing to note is that you have to do everything manually in Brood War. Okay, so like when your drones, for instance, hatch, they don't automatically mine. You have to grab them and make them mine. You can also micro, as we saw there, you can micro and keep a probe alive, for instance, for much longer because the units skate on the surface. So you can juke and jive a lot. But everything that they're doing right now, although it may seem slower, it's actually super high APM. There's a lot of different stuff they have to juggle as this goes on. And another important thing that I want to kind of combo with that is that you can only have 12 units in a control group. So what this does is it takes a player who normally has a lead, and it kind of marginalizes that because the bigger your army is or the more bases you have, you're actually penalized by having to have more tasks to juggle at once. So there's a little bit of a bigger comeback mechanic here. And we'll probably see that play out. There could be points in time where you have like 6 units or 6 control groups of units. You know how hard that is to attack in, or even worse, to run away? Very frustrating.
In case you guys have ever seen programmers like spam 1A, 2A, 3A and wondered what that is, that's practicing attacking with all of your control groups across the map.
Yeah.
And just like practicing getting that motion down. Now, we had a little bit of a soft contain, but this probe actually makes it out.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get in here. All right, so he's actually going to head northbound. He got zoned out pretty effectively. This is actually where the original body blocking was, by the way, guys. It was in Brood War. You can really push somebody out or delay movement by getting your units up there. The units are very boxy in Brood War. They don't, like, for instance, Zerglings in StarCraft 2, they're kind of slimy. They, like, slip through stuff. In Brood War, you can actually do a lot more, almost like a lineman, like blocking people off and bullying them into different positions.
Yeah, especially that probe actually did get taken out behind the mineral lines. A lot of times probes can cause Zerg to like need better health care after it breaks all the Zerglings' ankles, just juking it around. It's gone now, so this might be where we see where Effort is going to tech to, because he's dealt with most of the scouting out on the map. He's got a soft contain with Zerglings right in front of the natural, and now we get to see which direction both players are going in.
So the first Corsair is going to come in here, and this is like the standard in the PvZ metas. You get this one Corsair. Now that does splash damage, by the way, guys, so you want to be careful to have the Overlords spread out a little bit. Is he just not going to... Is he actually going to get it? Okay. Well, he needs to get that, or he does get it, but he has to make sure.
Oh wow, he actually took half health. Corsair has 34 health left, so
kind of odd he didn't check the main there. So, although the Corsair can get Overlords, what's most important is that it flies over, and what you want to do is you want to see, okay, how many drones is he making versus how many attacking units is he making. Behind this, and this is a little bit interesting, we'll see if it's going to be the case this time around, you're going to get the weapons upgrade, you're going to start to push out with Zealots, and you're going to try to push out and get a third base before you get a Robo. So you have the Corsairs out here. Zerg has to answer the Corsairs. You basically don't stop making the Corsairs, by the way. Probably get about at least 11 of them. And
right, it's not like Phoenix where you'd build them and then just like that's the time where you build Phoenix, and you may not reinforce that later.
Because the Zerg has to answer, or they're going to lose all their Overlords. It allows your Zealots to have a little bit more presence on the map because they're trying to fight the air off as well. Now, +1, I think, is going to finish.
It should finish right here. The +1 Zealot push is a great way to at least try to secure your third base if you want to think defensively, or put on a lot of pressure onto the Zerg's third base in case there's not like a sunken colony there or a wall off.
Right, so that should be getting done in a moment here. Now, there's been a lot of different ways that Zergs have played this, but it seems to be quite popular to go mass Hydra with some Lurkers, and we might see a Lurker contain. But so far, really good positioning set up here by Effort. I think a lot of this will come down to if he can get that third base, because if he's going to take that mineral base that's close to his main, that's like not a far distance for Zerg to push. By the way, guys, Hydras are very fast in this game. It's not like StarCraft 2 where they're like these slow, high damage units. They're like crazy fast. It can be microed really well.
Right, and in StarCraft 2, they move faster on creep. That's not the same way in Brood War, right?
No. The creep only lets you build. I think that was actually a really good addition in StarCraft 2, was that they had the creep make more of a role. Even like on an aesthetic level, it looked a lot better. So here are the Speed Zealots with +1 attack. The Zerglings can't really engage. He's going to try to dive in on some of these Overlords. And also, guys, Overlords detect upon birth.
You don't have to upgrade it.
Yeah.
It's just, and it makes stealth units a lot more difficult to handle. That's why you see Corsairs out so much, is to limit that detection out on the map if you're going for something like DT.
Yeah, it forces you to bunch up a good amount of those Overlords. That Bisu popularized Corsair DT, but it seems like Corsair Zealot into Templars, as we're seeing here, is more trendy. Now, interestingly, he's not going for a third base. He's actually going to get the Robo, so he's going to power on 2 bases. We saw in the last ASL I casted on Tuesday that this seems to be viable, but you got to be careful. Now, with the speed lots like we're seeing here, what he wants to do is he wants to run into the middle of that. But I think he's actually overextending. Yeah, that was a little bit crazy of him to do back there, because that's like way too many Hydras.
Yeah, actually so many Hydras. And as they push out, that's where these Templar are really going to have to be very valuable.
So there's no smart casting in this. You have to grab the individual Templar and then click the Storm. It's pretty tricky to do, but Storm does like a ton like a comical amount of damage.
It's actually insane.
Yeah.
There's no Kadarian Amulet upgrade in here, is there?
No, I think there is. I don't think it's called Kadarian Amulet, though.
But you can start your Templar out with more energy.
I think you're right. I believe that's correct. I don't think.
Well, I remember they tried to carry that over into StarCraft 2, and it was actually just
no, it was
super
crazy.
broken.
Yeah. No, it was. I think he might start out with like 8 more mana. I'll have to check on that. But yeah, I mean, you can have him have more mana so much so that they can cast like one extra storm. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that Zerg has to be like really vigilant about. So the center middle base here, Effort's trying to take that. And I got to say, this is actually a really bad sign here by Free because he's only got 1 Corsair left.
Right, losing Corsairs is actually pretty bad. And like you mentioned earlier, like you keep building them throughout the game, but it's because you want to keep that number high enough to really threaten just killing every Overlord.
Yeah, because if you have like a bunch of Corsairs and you have a few DTs on the map, I mean, how is Zerg going to get the bottom right? It's a lot more heavy lifting for the Zerg to do. Now, in this case, he might actually stop making the Corsairs because Zerg is in a little bit of a lead, and he might have to like just do some damage on the ground. Maybe. We'll see. It looks like Free is going to push out here, and he has a couple options. There's 3 different locations he can attack. He can attack into the second. If he kills that and gets in the main, he wins the game. Or he can try to get the mineral only.
Trying to snipe these High Templars actually could be huge. He's going to get one of them and might actually get another couple. You can see how hard it is to kill off those Lings.
Yeah, because the units kind of slide around. Now, he's just going to go for it. Now, these Lurkers, they're the enemy of the Zealots. But if he can get the Zealots across where the Spines can't connect, it looks like he might be able to do that here. There's the Observer right now. Now, he has to make sure the Hydras don't target that down. He gets the Lurkers. The Templars are coming in.
Oh, my God. He might actually just win now.
Yeah, that's actually possible. He's going to be able to do some more damage here. And this is a great play here by Free. Oh, my God.
And you can see how there's units top lane that just aren't, or top of the map that aren't actually moving. It's because it's so hard to control them all.
Yeah. And so, if he keeps these Templars over here at the ramp, he can keep spamming Storm in here. Now, he has to get this hatchery, or this is a disaster. Now, the Zealots are actually doing a good job. He gets the hatch.
All right, so this is worth it.
Yeah, now, can he get out? Good Storm there, by the way.
Yeah, he did kind of storm his own Zealots there at the end, so it was maybe a little bit lackluster, but he's going to kill this base, and that's actually a huge deal against Zerg.
Yeah, now, I wonder if Zerg should have counterattacked there. So it's 3 base versus 3 base. Now, what Zerg will try to do is deny these units from leaving. He's going to get the Observers. The Observers obviously die very quickly. And he's going to clean this up. So this is an interesting trade, but as we all know, anybody who's followed StarCraft knows, Zerg always wants to be up in expansion.
All right, now there is at least a couple storms left there. Otherwise, he would have morphed that Archon earlier. He gets one off, but this is going to be cleaned up. So no one's going to lose off of this. However, Effort is starting to feel the pressure.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that the multitude of hatcheries here, guys. Remember, there's no kind of larva inject mechanic like we've seen in moments in StarCraft 2. You just get what's called macro hatches. Zerg also don't need like a ton of drones to produce a lot. It's kind of crazy. So a lot of times they don't even have the mineral patches saturated.
All right, now Protoss Force pushing out, and he actually might catch more Templars. He's forced to use those storms before he loses them, and this actually could be so bad, but it looks like there is enough Protoss to at least push this Zerg force back.
Yeah, the Hydras are doing a good job zoning. You can see Free's a little bit uncomfortable. He doesn't want to overextend. He's got one Observer to spot here. Now, I think the game is kind of seesawed as far as where the pressure is, because Effort is going to have to try to punish Protoss before Protoss gets to 4th base. Because that 4th base has gas in it, that's actually a pretty big threat, because Templars, as we all know, are so important in this matchup. Storm is like the linchpin. You basically can't beat Zerg without good side storms.
Oh, that is actually a good side storm right there, and he might actually land another one on those Lings as they try to come in. So this is going to force Effort back, and he might have actually just lost too many units, although he does have a lot back at home.
So you can see those drones are rallied into the same part as the army. That's just what Zerg has to deal with. I mean,
there's no multiple rally points there.
This is the hardest game ever made. So, and each of the races has these unique burdens they got to do. We saw that. Yeah, that's StarCraft pathing for you. The 2 units at 2 different waypoints bumping into each other. Protoss might try to push in here. I like the Lurker setup. He's going to use that ramp that goes to the low ground as kind of a funnel, so the Lurkers can optimize their damage as they push through there. Now, Free, I believe Free may even be maxed out. Free is going to try to push across here. Now, remember, if Effort loses this, we're in the group phase. Effort already lost to Shuttle.
So he could actually not make it out.
Yeah, it's quite possible. It's certainly not the results I was expecting. Now, good job there by Effort. He's using the Lings to keep the army drawn back. Remember, you have only 12 units in a control group. So when you have a big-ass army like what Free has, it's much more difficult to move around. So even sending a few Lings here and there like this and forcing that army to move is pretty scary. Now, can he get a Nexus kill up here?
Oh, there's actually so many Zerglings here. This could be too difficult. Now, these are crack-upgraded Zerglings, so they do have those adrenal glands. He's actually going to get these Nexus.
Nice. That's the play he needed. And look at this dude. He's sending another set of Lings over here. He's got this right-click. He's on the move command here. He's going to try to get around this Nexus.
There's not enough cannons there to defend.
Yeah, well, the Zealots are not going to be that quick here. He looks like he's going to go for cannons first. I thought he might just try to click on the Nexus itself, but he's going to try to eliminate some of these cannons so he can maybe punish him later on. There's another, if you look at the minimap, there it is, another set of Lings already down here. So he's definitely interested in when Protoss moves out again. And look, here we go. He's going to try to set him in again. Maybe a little bit too quickly there by effort, but the idea is definitely there.
Well, and he just has to keep Free from being able to push into his side of the map. Because the maxed out Protoss army, even if you play StarCraft 2, you know how strong that Death Ball can be. And especially as Zerg, if you're like split off or you have your production cut off in an interesting way, or you don't have your lurkers in position, you just lose a base, and at this point in the game, that can spell the end.
Yeah, absolutely. More Lings coming down now. A few storms sprayed out here. Again, Zerg is on 4 bases right now.
Oh,
check this out.
Lurker eggs.
Lurker egg block. So the eggs, it takes forever to kill them. So he actually makes these eggs here so that Protoss can't immediately dive in. Really good save there by Effort. And also Effort taking a base at the bottom right and making a Nidus there to connect.
Right, Niduses don't work the same way as they do in StarCraft 2. You can't just put them anywhere. You have to build them on creep, but they are one of the ways that when Zerg gets so spread out across the map that they can defend everything by just sending all of their troops through the Nidus network.
Okay, so Protoss is going to try to put some pressure up here. Does he have? Okay, he still has one observer up there. Dark Swarm's going down. So only melee units can do damage in the Dark Swarm. And Psystorm. Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Psystorm's not a melee unit.
It's not a melee unit, tasteless.
But he's coming in here. He's actually going to get these hatcheries.
And I think if he actually breaches this, I mean, Effort's still going to be in a lot of trouble. So really good move here by Free to rotate back up to the top. I think a lesser Protoss player would have shied away from hitting this location. Even with Dark Swarm clouds coming up here, there's still enough Zealots that this is a bit of a threat. But the Dragoons right now are not going to be able to do anything. I think Free has to back up.
Right, there are lurkers burrowed under Dark Swarm. That's pretty invincible. Like, there's very few ways to get through lurkers under Dark Swarm, aside from things like Psystorm, which I think he's out of right now.
Yeah, Psystorm and having Zealots get in there, but Zealots, unless they get a really good angle, are not that great against lurkers.
All right, so we did have one more Storm there. He did, okay, 2 more actually, and he does clear out most of the lurkers. There's still a couple more burrowed, but I didn't see an observer there, Tasteless, so he might have lost that.
It's possible. You know, it's hard to find. We don't have any tabs here because it's Brood War. Oh no, he's got one right over there.
Okay, all right.
But he still is probably gonna have to back up. You can see the Lings actually blocking out that one Zealot. Really nicely done there.
Okay, well, there are plenty of Dark Swarms, and the Defiler, I think you talked about this last week on ASL, is just like, it's such, like, you look at the abilities that it has, and it's actually just insane. It can reduce all of your units to 1 hit point. It has Dark Swarms, so, like, your ranged units just don't exist anymore, and it's really strong. It can consume Zerglings to get more energy, so that then it can use that to cast more units. So that's what you saw it doing.
It's like an insane spell casting unit here. Now, hold on. This might be one of the more important moments in the game.
The Spore Crawler almost killed the Observer, too.
Now, the combo with the Spore, the Lurkers, and the Dark Swarm here makes it really tough for Protoss to get into this location. Notice that these are popping out of Niduses, so he actually has this like subway system set up on the right side of the map so he can move around.
Oh, and he lost the Observer there to the Spore Colony.
Yeah, that is so easy to do, man. I lose Observers all the time like that. Because, again, you're controlling so many units at once. It's so hard to have everything move at the same time. So right now, Zerg is in this odd spot. Zerg is turtling up hard. He's going to use Spore Crawlers, Lurkers, Defilers to try to just hold up everything until he can get back into a moment where he has more momentum on his side.
Now, it might look a little bit weird to have this Zerg skip the base at the 4 o'clock spot and go down to the corner, but that's because the corner base has gas, and the one above it, I believe...
Oh, no, that one's got gas, too.
Okay.
Right up there, but the one to the lower left of that base is the one with the minerals.
Right.
But if he took that natural... See, Protoss can push that easily. For Protoss to go all the way to the bottom right, it gives Zerg a lot more time to like make lurkers and try to get a good setup here. Now, is he going to try to fight him at the ramp? It looks like that's going to be the name of the game.
All right, well, some nice storms on top of the ramp, and he still hasn't been able to climb all the way up there. Has to deal with these lurkers, and they're far enough back to where not even these Dragoons with range can get to them. So does have to defend this base.
This is critical, man. He has to get these lurkers over here. He's going to start brewing. That makes these Dragoons basically useless. He needs to get enough lurkers down here that these Zealots can all be wiped out. If the Zealots are gone, Protoss is going to have to turn around, and it looks like he may have just managed to do that.
Now, there are a few Zealots there in the back, but it's so hard to navigate the Zealots through your army up the ramp.
Right.
So little by little, they're trickling in here, and Free might actually have enough here to kill off his base. Storms on the lurkers will kill most of them off. You can see there is a little bit of plague there. It's on units under the swarm, so it's hard to notice. But this Nidus is continually keeping his base alive forever.
This is some of the best Nidus play I've seen in a while. He's just doing such a great job of shoveling these Zerg units out here. But again, if Protoss can get this base, it's going to be hugely problematic. It would actually be a 4-base Protoss against a 3-base Zerg. So he's actually throwing everything now down to this base. More lurkers spilling through.
So there are lurkers here, but is there enough Dark Swarm? Storm on the lurkers. I think it's going to die. I don't know if Free can break this, but Effort looks like he's just barely holding on. Some great side storms from Free.
Yeah, good Dark Swarms here as well. Does he have an Observer? I don't think he has an Observer.
I think he lost it again.
Yeah, I think he actually sniped that with one of the Hydras there. So I think just barely, man.
Oh my God.
Effort actually saved this. Okay, here comes the Observer again. But does he have enough? He's got 2 Observers now, with the army. But the lurker setup here is pretty good. He's actually getting some sunken colonies and spore crawlers over there to try to fight that as well. Also, a side story here, but Effort is peeking into the bottom left to make sure that that Protoss hasn't actually acquired that base as well down there. And so far, Free has not managed to do so.
Oh my God. All right, 2 observers this time, so they will be able to keep those up for a while. Storms on the drone line, and that's going to hurt the economy so much. These cracklings are coming in, and they actually do kill off this Archon. I think Effort probably holds this.
Okay, but there are some more reinforcements coming through here. I think the fact that he was storming those drones and the lurkers means Effort still took a pretty serious beating.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, it looks like he actually might have managed to hold this off here.
Cracklings, and we call them that just because they attack so fast.
They look like they're on crack,
Yeah, they are actually insane when you do get a large enough number of them and can't deal with them with area of effect abilities like Archon Splash or those Side Storms. And I'm not sure about this. This base took a lot of resources to hold, but Effort does hang on.
Yep. And Effort's actually back on the map here. He's actually forcing Archons to morph here and everything else. I got to say, this is actually so crazy that Effort held this for this long. Like, this is really hard to do.
This is why Brood War is so fun to watch, because you can see games that go on where both players are actually just like trading these huge uppercut blows.
Yeah, it's just insane. Nice job sniping these Templars over here.
So good.
He's actually making the center of the map not safe, and good job here.
He might actually force a cancel here.
Yeah, he needs to go right on that Nexus like now. Look at that. Look how fast that does damage.
Oh my God.
Goodbye.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Okay, so Effort, really being very tactical here. It looks like he wants to send lurkers in this defiler down here. He wants to try to gain some kind of control of the bottom left. Now, this is risky here by Effort, but I also have to appreciate the dilemma that Effort is in right now.
Now, he does have lurkers on these ramps that should be a good position to attack from, but we'll see if there are enough storms to clear this up.
Okay, he's just going to continue to consume
this. He lost that
this.
Observer by running it into Side Storm.
Yeah, that happens. More lurkers are coming. More lurkers are coming down now. There's more Zealots here. Now, if he can get these lurkers over here, what would actually be crazy is if he got one drone over here to the bottom left and just made a base there and got a Nidus network up. That may be the play here for Zerg. That may be what you want to do, because he actually just won the territory fight in the bottom left. And that's one thing about Brood War. There's a little bit more tension over territories on the map because armies can't move as easily.
Right, it's a real-time strategy game, but it can feel turn-based, kind of like Risk when it comes to controlling territory or cutting it off.
Yeah.
Because now that Effort has control of that lower left-hand corner, Free is forced to think, okay, well, now where do I attack? And he's going to keep putting, or try to put pressure on the rest of Effort's bases. That plague.
Look at that plague. So that drops their HP to 1. It doesn't kill him. Doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, well, it's got you so low that you'll die, but it will only if you take damage.
Oh, he's trying to snipe these High Templar again, and then, Free with great control does save both of them. Then we're so much worse than Korean casters. We didn't even yell Plague-oo.
So this is kind of cool, Rapid. He's actually set this up so that really the only comfortable base that Free could take is maybe at the top center.
Oh my God, he actually is sniping more of those.
So crazy, man.
He's just like getting these nerd chills right now.
Getting the nerd wiggles, man.
Oh my God.
Okay, so remember, a lot of these were plagued. Now, if you're wondering why they're moving over this, you actually want to have the lurker spines going in all directions here, and not necessarily just kind of 1A into this. Oh my God. Okay, gets those observers, but it's not enough. Looks like Free has reclaimed the bottom left.
Okay, so now that Free has this bottom left reclaimed, there's a base at the 12 o'clock position. No one's really going to take that base immediately. It's very difficult to hold in a lot of situations. Here come these Scourge. Now, the Scourge are for observers to try to snipe them.
Yeah, that's 100% for the observers. The Zerg has to play in this kind of really weird tactical manner because Protoss got a big edge here. So Zerg's going to have to win with like a lot of finesse. Ooh, man, that was a good storm there.
Yeah, so there are now a lot more Hydralisks, and it kind of seems like Effort changing up the tech maybe a little bit here. Didn't have a lot of those earlier, but now they're all just going to die to these Zealots running them over.
All right, well, these Zealots, he's still doing a good job staying away. I'm actually impressed that Effort is still has the ambitions of blocking out the bottom left. This is very, very difficult to do. I really can't emphasize how hard this is.
Oh, my God.
But it seems like he's doing it. Now, if you know, there's only 2 mining bases right now for Free. The mineral only that's near the top, and then the one in the center left that has the gases. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be very easy for Free if this game goes on for another 5-10 more minutes. He's going to have to get a new base. Right now, he's not trying to expand. He's trying to power. And I don't know if Effort's really giving him an opportunity to punish him.
Well, that's exactly what Free is going to try to do, sending these Speed Zealots down to contest this new base. It's not even finished making, but there is a large force of lurkers. There's a huge lurker field, and that can actually take a lot of, no pun intended, effort to clear out.
He also, with the Scourge guys, those will one-hit observers. They're like banelings in the sky, but they don't do splash. They just do a lot of direct damage. And so that's the game he's playing. He's hoping that these really brittle detectors from Protoss, he can exploit that feature of the race and lock them out of getting into these lurker-controlled territories. Now, this is a very tactical style of play. It's a real war of attrition here. We do have one shuttle out here. I don't know if there's a Reaver in that or if he might try to drop DTs into the main. But let's see. This is a pretty big-ass army. Yeah, I think there is a Reaver in there. He's going to try to push this. Now, this is easier said than done.
Right. Very difficult. So, first off, if you lose your observers, you just can't fight as Protoss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because lurkers will actually just kill everything. They're so incredibly strong, especially now that they have some upgrades and these dark swarms out there. So, oh my God,
okay,
the Scourge actually get sniped.
Now the Reavers, you have to pay for each Scarab that it fires.
It's like a land carrier.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Okay, he's gonna come in here. This is gonna get the observers.
Oh no, he actually gets picked off, but there is Plague on the Archons because that actually doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, he's still got these lurkers here. He might actually cast another cloud. Okay, another Plague over there.
I guess Plague on the Reaper too, or the Reavers.
Reaver, yeah.
So those things are actually just going to die in like one hit. But these Scarabs coming out are so good.
He's going to dive. Check this out. Okay, he picks up the Reaper. Very nicely done into the shuttle. Now he needs to get over here. An overextension there, I believe, by Effort. Free.
He's going to lose us the Filer too.
Yeah, that's
no
actually
more
pretty
Dark
good.
Swarm.
So he actually, that was a little bit risky by Effort. Effort's going to have to bring these lurkers back over here. He's going to try to cage in this army, but there's enough damage. I think a solid push could allow him to come through here. Nice positioning here with the Hydras as the units attempt to get up the ramp.
And those Dragoons are firing up. Oh my God, he actually gets
at least
one of the Reavers. Got one still left, but there's not enough Zerg here to pick that off. It's trying to crawl away, but it's not the shuttle.
So sick, really nicely done. Okay, well, I don't know if Effort is actually overextending here. Right now, Effort playing for his tournament life.
Well, and the base did die for Effort, so he did lose that, and that means that he's probably pretty much mined out on at least his first 2 bases, and that base in the bottom right-hand corner is probably low.
He should mine out a little bit slower than Free will, because Free just ends up getting more workers. That's kind of how Protoss work in this situation here. And look at that, that's almost dried up.
So he's practically mining off of only 1 base.
You know, there's a chance that if Effort can make the rest of his units eke out more damage, there's actually a chance that he can win here. He's actually going to try to kill this one probe that's intended to make the Nexus. It looks like that probe does get over there. Very nicely done. But yeah, if Free can get another base up, and if he gets this base in the bottom left, he gets automatic access to the main. Like, it's really easy to do. that would be interesting. This game would go on for even longer.
And it's so interesting to think about the way that these like long-term strategies have affected this game overall. Well, we can't even talk about that right now. This Defiler actually almost walks in and dies because it's just that hard to control. It might actually still die to these Zealots. So many Zealots right on top of the army. They do get plagued.
I think that Free might have done it. There might not be enough Zerg units coming in here. The Protoss army might just be sophisticated
Lots of
enough.
Hydras, yeah, but look at how good those storms are. So incredible.
That's pretty sick, man. He's going to try to come in again. He's going to try to just get these few Templar.
Oh, huge storms on everything. And Effort, I don't actually think he has just hardly any units at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, he's going to, if you notice, he's just making Hydras and Lings right now. I mean, they're very cost-efficient units. He might try to come in here and break the bottom left, but I don't know, man. I mean, split map, it's a little wild. Now, of course, the one way that Free could lose this is to just lose this base. Now, let's say that Free decides to move out, right? And he wants to end the game because he knows that Effort's trying to get one of his expansions up. Lings countering into that base, especially when you have that Adrenal upgrade, they can kill that in a matter of seconds.
Right, we actually saw, I think the first day, we had a Zerg win a game by just doom dropping lots of cracklings into the enemy base.
Yeah, it's crazy. It seems like he doesn't actually have enough gas to get drop here, but that would actually be a great way to do this. Here we go!
Oh, huge
Here we
run
go!
by. On top of the Nexus, he can actually just target this down. This Nexus is so
Whoa,
dead.
hold on, he's gonna get a good storm up.
Oh my God, it goes down.
So sick. Oh my God. That was
so
crazy.
good.
Well, that's the thing, man. It's going to storm this damage so fast in Brood War. Like, he actually almost saved that. That was the play that Effort needed. Now, the scale tips back the other direction. Free is going to try to come in here and bully and smash the bottom right base because Zerg has easy access to that natural base after acquiring that main. In fact, at this point in time, Protoss is basically mined out. So
he's distance mining there with those probes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He's having to. That's like not the way you ever want to do it.
Coming in. I think those got picked up.
By the way, guys, you can super saturate on expansions in Brood War. I know in StarCraft 2, it's like if you have more than 16 workers, there's no point in doing that. In Brood War, it's a little bit different.
All right, so killing off some of these Overlords, moving in. No more Zergling run-bys possible now that the army from Free has moved down, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do this and to deal with this. And you can see, like, over the course of the game, it's just this power struggle of Zerg trying to lock down that bottom left-hand corner and Protoss trying to either capture that or put pressure on, and it's just so back and forth.
You know, man, I think this game's going to go on for a lot longer. Now, guys, Brood War games can go on for a long-ass time. And I think we just got that because Zerg got the natural. See, I don't think that's going to be broken, but Protoss gets the bottom left. I believe now Effort will have to rely on dropping into the upper left main here to try to exploit the Protoss's position because also the Protoss army itself. Oh my God!
This is actually a big push coming in. So many Templars just going to storm these lurkers like one by one, going forward for a plague. Can he get it off? Oh my God!
All right, he just backs up. He says, no, another day. Oh, he's going to try to box this in. Can he lock this out?
Oh, my God. He actually traps the units against the wall. There's lurkers burrowing everywhere. Nice. Storms on top of them. Most of those lurkers do die, but he actually can pick up all these Templars.
Okay, he actually, that was really, really sexy there by Effort. He actually locked Free out there.
God.
He's going to get those Templars. Can he actually assault the bottom left? If Effort wins this game, it's going to be so insane because Free was in such a good spot for so long.
All right, well, he's moving forward with these lurkers there. No observers, but good storms. Are there enough of them? I just don't think he has enough Templar.
Oh my God, is he actually going to get this? If he gets his bottom left base, I think that actually
this
Free
might
has
actually
to
be GG.
This is so crazy because Zerg was in such a bad spot for most of this game.
Oh, and he's going to limit.
GG!
Oh my God!
Oh my
Effort
God!
is
That game was so sick.
Good.
That was so insane. All right, this is why Grandpa Tasteless is saying that Effort may be currently the best Brood War player in the world. I mean, that was so insane.
Man, Grandpa Tasteless pacemaker's working overtime tonight.
That's right, man. Grandpa Tasteless was supposed to be rested. He's not supposed to get this excited. It's bad for his heart. Effort actually won. You can see he can't even quite hide the smile that he had on after winning that because that was a tough fight. Really good job. A great exhibition of positional play. that we saw being utilized down there.
And it was just so good to see exactly how accurately he prioritized everything. He
Right.
knew when Free was going to either try to take the bottom left-hand corner of the map or try to pressure his bases, and he was just right there every single time. And it was actually really close for the longest time.
It was kind of crazy because Effort was on such low resources compared to where he wants to be. He was never able to get ultras. He had to stick with his kind of funky Hydra Link lurker, guerrilla warfare style of play. He actually made it work. I think Free did a really good job. He just did not quite play the chess game on the map as effectively as he would have wanted to.
And that's what's so good about Brood War is that I've heard more analogies for games that Brood War is like, just because it's like so many other games. You've got the chess turn-based like positional aspect of it. You've got the real time in that micro is just so important in some situations, and like all of those going together, you just have to be able to play every game at the same time. And it's all called Brood War.
And he actually he played that position game well enough that eventually Free was mined out. And even though for most of that game, Effort was on even bases with the Protoss, and usually if that goes on for like 3 or 4 minutes, it's like, all right, you're done. Time to punch out. He actually made it work. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our next best of one in tonight's ASL.
So where did I lose my conviction? Fight the nightmare that brings me down. Yeah, I feel like we all live in fiction. Now I feel that we have been born again. Are you staring at the sun as we face the end? Break across the line and take my hand. I wanna hear you sing with me. This is the sound of revolution. Now will you come and join with me? Take back today and live the revolution. No longer avoiding the friction. Free from nightmares, we'll lay them down.
짬뽕이네? 아이 어서 시켰어래. 그거 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕인데 제가 볶았어요. 볶음 찐짬뽕래. 볶음 찐짬뽕. 볶음 찐짬뽕. 깜빡깜빡하지 말래. 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕. 또 대빵 나겠어래.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 끊김없이 게임을 즐기죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성사이다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링. 리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로 과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링. 미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다. pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0. 이제 모두 핑크하세요. 스타일? 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트레비.
메신저의 혁신이다. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우웹에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우. 라마?
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차이 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표는 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 허허. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다.
네, 아프리카 TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 애소하고.
맞아. 위초고 삼국 대결. 나이스! 나 심쿵했어.
17,800원. 와, 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요.
아 뭐야 이거 어떻게
열심히.
먹은 건데? 저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다. 진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
올리브영 플러스 유소나 예뻐져라 뷰티 방송. 홈쇼핑 아닙니다. 첫 뷰티 방송 시작하겠습니다. 달콤한 꽃에 겹겹이 둘러싸인 듯. 아 여러분, 이 모든 제품들은 올리브영에서 살 수 있습니다. 새로운 네일 아트로 사랑을 표현할게요. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다. 세상에.
모바일 게임을 넘어선 액션 RPG 히트. 양 팀이 이제 정해졌는데 그냥 대결하면 좀 재미가 없으니까요. 아웃! 탈락. 이선을 향해 쐈어요.
에이 큐피드.
큐피트야 뭐가?
이 정도라면 4분 때 마무리되나요? 자, 이거 3대2 뒤에 들어가는데요. 유저 전체에게 깃털 1000개를 선물로 드립니다.
타이밍이 지금인 것 같습니다. 그만한 게임이 지금 모바일 게임에는 없다고.
힘찬 행사로.
You chose the wrong side.
우리 올리브영에서 드디어 루이조를 변화시키기 위해 우리 아프리카와 함께 루이조 변화시키기 대장정이 들어갔어요. 이게 스타일 옴브 제품입니다. 피부 밝아지는 것 같은데? 와, 이런 게 올리브영 클래스구나. 라마띠. 와우! 영국 스타일. 근데 멋있네. 나가면 번호 따일 것 같은데? 여기서 마무리할게요. 우리 제품은 올리브영 제품이었습니다.
ASL.
We are back. We just got done with an incredible game of Brood War back there.
40 minutes.
40 minute DBZ.
Non-stop action. It's I
So
feel like
cool.
I've been going swimming. It's just like so much hype here all around us.
Yeah.
This is Brood War, man.
It's so cool that we're doing this. Thanks again to Africa for supporting Brood War and having faith in an English stream. We've actually been getting a lot of viewers for this. A lot of people are very curious. If you like StarCraft 2 at all, you're going to have a good time watching some Brood War. We're going to be going into game number 2 momentarily here, but it is interesting to see some of the differences with StarCraft 1 compared to StarCraft 2. It's just very tough to control your whole army, so we do see a lot more of these territorial fights where somebody can hold off, sometimes even a maxed army, with half of that. You know, they get a ramp or they get a good position where the observers can't get in there to see the lurkers. It's crazy.
And we saw that last game, whether it's like lurkers underneath Dark Swarm, which is like so hard to get through, or Protoss like able to just send in so many zealots that you have to worry about just losing all of your army, which almost happened to Effort. He was so good at defending.
Times. Yeah.
But now we actually have to move on to I think another matchup coming up. And while both of the players in our first game had a lot of history behind them, coming coming up, we actually get to watch a couple of the newer players to ASL.
If you well, I mean, I guess if you follow Brood War the entire time, you're definitely watching now. But for those of you guys
You're some dedicated nerds.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a long time to be following this. But if you dip your toes only in Brood War a little bit, these guys might not have as much of a background. I had a tough time predicting who was really the favorite here. So
Greencasters didn't. They had like that 0-100 matchup.
I know,
They're
right?
just totally
I'm like, seriously,
sure.
guys? By the way, in case you guys are wondering, Artosis is out of town. He's on vacation with his family.
Artosis.
This is. I'm actually grateful you're down here, man, because solo casting is a bitch. I hate doing it. It's really hard.
And thankfully, you can have 99 other problems, but that's not one of them.
That's right. So we're going to go into this match momentarily here. But again, guys, definitely get out there and tell your friends to join us here at the ASL. This is the sister tournament to the GSL. So just like we are the network that always has StarCraft 2 games going on regularly, the best StarCraft 2 tournament in the world, the GSL. Now we got it with Brood War as well. So we got these two great RTSs, easily the two best RTSs ever made.
I mean, they're both
here
called
side by
StarCraft.
side.
It's all good. And I think we should be getting into our second game coming up here not too long.
Yeah, I believe so. Again, in case you're confused as to why this studio is full of people, that's because Brood War never went away. People just love the game. It's actually part of the culture, in a sense. In South Korea, they've always loved this game. And, to have a new tournament and inject some new life into the game and get some global coverage, people are very excited for that. This is the ultimate dueling game, StarCraft. It's always been, it's the manly man game. This is the game that'll make you grow some hair on your chest. Because after you play a game like Brood War, everything else seems pretty damn easy.
All right, so here are the players that we're going to be watching. You can actually see Sharp now on your screen. Now, it's a little bit difficult to find out a lot about Sharp. He actually played in the most recent big Brood War tournament here at Africa, and I think he lost in the semifinals of that to Zero, a guy that we'll get a chance to see a little bit later on tonight. So he has actually plays very well as far as that's concerned. Used to be on Samsung Con, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Way back in the day.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a TVZ. And here is Larva, a player who's very popular amongst our fans in the audience. TVZ is kind of the classic StarCraft Brood War
Starship
matchup.
Troopers.
It is.
It's
a Starship Troopers matchup. Definitely a really unforgiving matchup. The Terran army can deal so much damage with Medic Marine. It's crazy, but one Zerg gets Dark Swarm. And if you thought Dark Swarm was scary in that last game, it's even scarier in a
Turns
Terran
out when
Zerg.
all your units are ranged, they don't do anything.
I mean, you basically can't fight them. You just cannot fight an army that is, under Dark Swarm. So it's going to be a big race to that. Here are the predictions here.
Wow, another 0-100. Is Larva just that good? I didn't think so. I looked up Sharp's win rates, and so that's why I maybe gave him a little bit of an edge, but it's actually just super close.
I think it's actually pretty close, but I don't know. I mean, let's see what happens here. This is a matchup. Generally, they can't kill each other early on, but there are some crazy strats that do occur. Terran especially has to be really vigilant about where he's moving at what time, because Lings can come in there and wreck you.
Right. If you actually just lose 1 or 2 Marines at times where you just can't lose them, you just die. So
yeah, Terran's interesting because Terran is incredibly brittle early on. But if you get the army out there, Marines and Medics.
Medics especially, they really screw up AI.
Yeah, it's insane. And so we're going to see what happens here. Again, guys, it is a best of 1. This is going to be that classic StarCraft 1 matchup. Humans versus aliens, Terran versus Zerg.
Nobody feels ambivalent about this matchup. You actually just take sides. So
it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be on the map Fighting Spirit, by the way, as well. This is the most common map for StarCraft Brood War right now. It definitely rewards players who bring in a proper macro game. And we're going to have to see. It's also a map that's very open, similar to our last map.
Right.
In the middle, there's not a lot of obstructions, so you can definitely flank really well. You can definitely do some run-bys.
And it looks like we are about to get into our second game of the night. It's Sharp versus Larva here on Fighting Spirit.
Let's do this, guys. Welcome to the ASL.
조기석, 임홍규, ASL 시즌 1 16강.
In the bottom left, in the blue, it's our Terran player, Sharp. And in the bottom right, in the orange, it is Larva.
He's actually literally in the orange.
Yeah, he matches. He's color coordinated. That's one of those hoodies where you can actually zip it up to cover your entire face.
If only it made like a little baneling, he could just morph himself in as
That's
the
what we do.
broadcast went on.
If he loses so bad he dies, we just take the corpse, we just zip it right up over his face.
This little Zerg body bag, we just drag him off.
That's right. He came dressed in a body bag. So
maybe not super optimistic.
Okay, so they're both at the bottom. Just like in StarCraft 2, they scout with that Overlord. Zerg ideally want to be in cross spots, but I think definitely Larva can make this work, you know, in any spot that he's going to be in.
All right, and as far as early game goes, you mentioned that the Terran can be very brittle, so we'll need to watch this Zergling or the pool timing to see whether or not he's going to get that early. It doesn't look like that, so I think we're going to be okay for now.
So we actually have a cross scout. Oh, I guess we don't have that. Okay, now we're going to see it. This is called a cross scout.
It's a 4-player map.
4-player map. So he's going to check the upper left first, and he is going to find out that his opponent is in the bottom left here. Now you start out with not as many workers, but the action does pick up around the same rate as it does in StarCraft 2, oddly, and that's because all the workers, they actually mine a little bit more minerals than normal, and the units are actually pretty damn cheap. In StarCraft 1.
So I thought we were actually going to have the races see each other for the first time, but it looks like that SCV actually just barely skirted by the Overlord, and we do have the natural making for Larva. Nothing too out of the ordinary just yet. I think the biggest thing that's happening right now is who gets which scouting information first.
I believe Terran is just going to make a command center here, and these are both very safe, basic builds. So he'll probably make the command center on the low ground. Zerg actually went for double hatchery. So this is like the super safe, super standard way to play. Now, when I play Terran, if I make the command center on the low ground, I'm always a little bit scared because, there is just such a threat from Zerg with mass slings. But usually top Terrans like Sharp don't have as hard of a time like that. They just get the right building set up to feel really safe. We will have to see when Zerg does take its third. Zerg generally stay on 2 bases to start out with against Terran. They either tech to Muta or Lurker. There's really nothing else they're going to do. Oh, sick. Nice drone block.
Oh, my God. And you can't actually block the entire ramp with one drone. Those things are fat, man.
Yeah, exactly. The drones are quite fat in Brood War, so he actually locks him out because he doesn't want the Terran to know if Zerg's getting 3 hatches or 2. And that's actually a pretty big difference. The third hatch, which he makes at the ramp, that's the macro hatch. That's also usually where you hide your tech, so that if they scan your main, they can only count the drones, or if they scan the macro hatch, they might see your tech, but they don't know what.
Oh, and the SCV actually still not able to penetrate the main.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's just not going to be able to get in there. So a really good opening here by Larva. Now, Larva is going to go for that third macro hatch and get a later tech here. So Larva is going to be in good shape as the game develops. Terran may try to come out here and see if he can't catch an Overlord or anything else with these few Marines. But normally what the Terran does, he moves out with the Marines and then he sends them back. He wants to force the Zerg to make enough Zerglings, because if you're forcing them to make Lings, then they're not making drones.
You're so smart, Tasteless.
That's right, man. Well, I better know about this game, man. It's like more than half my life was spent like playing this game. So yeah, for now, Terran just gets his academy up here. You want to get scans. Now, you don't get any mules in this game, but Terran, they need to rely on scans to see what the Zerg is doing.
And you don't get scans for free. You actually have to build the add-on to your command center.
Right.
It's like so if you're used to StarCraft 2, you're like, well, what add-ons does the command center have? So you can actually build 2 add-ons to the command center.
Right.
One gives you scans, the other gives you nukes.
Yeah, we don't really see nukes just like in StarCraft 2. We don't really, I mean, we've had games.
If it gets super
someone
late
is going to tweet at me, and there's some condescending tweet being like, I saw a game with a nuke. I'm like, yeah. Well, this game's been around for that long. We've seen everything. But people don't really go for nukes. If you see nukes used in a game, it's to humiliate somebody, or it's a Terran versus Terran that went on for like an insanely long period of time. So, we're going to have this sunken colony come up here. That's basically the same as a spine crawler. And pretty soon we're going to see what exactly the tech choice is going to be for Zerg. Will it be to go right for lurkers, or will it be to get mutas out here?
Actually, I think it's interesting. So Brood War came out first, and the spines go through the ground, and then we travel into the future for StarCraft 2, and now all of a sudden the spines go through the air. It's like, is that technological advancement?
That's right.
I don't know,
Maybe
man.
it's just faster if it goes through the air. It's like, it's a lot more muscle needed to push this through the actual
ground.
ground.
It only took the Zerg 15 years to
That's
figure
right.
that out.
That was huge development.
Sniping off a medic! Oh, he gets it.
It's actually pretty big because there's only 2 medics with that.
Man, medics are like trash bags filled with tomato sauce,
Oh
man.
my god, I know when they blow up, it goes like everywhere. So what Terran's doing, Terran's forcing the Zerg to make spine crawlers, which is another way to get rid of drones.
Now here are some fire bats. Those are essentially like hell bats, but they're not mech units. They're actually just dudes with flamethrowers.
Yeah.
The splash damage is actually pretty insane.
Yeah, and you can stim them so that they can take out mass legs pretty effectively. So far so good. He's going to clean up these lings here, and this game's going to go on. Now, what Terran did was Terran poked into the center right. Terran is hungry to see if the Zerg is going to take a third and ideally deny it. We still haven't actually been revealed the tech, I believe, here for the Zerg, but it's either going to be lurkers or mutas. There is a bit of a race for the Zerg. Okay, it's going to be mutas. It's going to be mutas.
We should actually see them hatch here. The observers are actually so good at showing this to you. So you almost always see like this big hatch of mutas. And if you're not prepared for that mutas, because they can be microed so insanely in Brood War, it can actually just win you the game if you're not ready.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. So what Terran has to do now, Terran has to go back and make a bunch of turrets to defend. And this is the Zerg actually forcing the Terrans to burn a lot of their minerals on these turrets. And while they're doing this, we see that drone going out. That drone will most likely take the main in the upper right. And that is super common for Zerg to take another main as their third base. I know it probably looks a little bit different from what a lot of you guys are used to in StarCraft 2. But
oh my god, that's actually bad control. He ran into so many turrets and stim marines.
Yeah, you actually are not supposed to be losing any mutas early on. Now, he put this one marine up here, which is pretty smart.
Oh my god, so smart.
Now, he needs to make that into an expansion very quickly. That's a long travel time. He may make the hatchery over here at the natural. That drone's still on the run here. Looks like it's not been caught up to just yet. Okay, so he kills the marine. He will eventually reclaim the upper right. Yeah, they want to be far away from the Terrans with their bases because you can set up so many traps on the map with lurkers. You want to make the Terran really work to try to take out that third base. So Larva is definitely playing a very textbook ZDT.
Oh my god, that's actually really bad. Moving on top of those M&M. And it's so bad. It's so long since I've said the word M&M.
M&M, I know, right?
Oh my god, I'm getting so many feels.
It's crazy, like that.
Somebody out there.
We're actually getting to cast this right now, but like, okay, so see how clumped these mutas are? There's actually an overlord on the other side of the map in this control group, and this is a really cool AI trick that people figured out to try to punish the Terrans, because the mutas normally spread out a lot more, so therefore the whole flock of mutas, the ones on the edges are susceptible to be hit by marines or turrets, you name it. So what they do is they have 11 mutas exactly in that group, and they fly around, and you have to constantly change the control group that overlord's in, because the overlord gets pulled across the map the longer it's in that group and can die. And what you do is you fly around, you try to force the marines to stim, and then you run away. And you're just trying to also take out any other reinforcements before they can come across the map. Doesn't seem like Sharp is going to bite. He's got a decent number of units out already, and he may attempt to put some pressure on here. Now, traditionally, we've seen Flash specifically go for mech into this. I don't know if that's how Sharp's going to play it this time around. The more standard way is to just keep getting vessels and M&M, like Medic Marine.
But what's a vessel, Tasteless?
Oh, that's right. They might not know. Good question. I got to be careful because I will just talk about stuff that nobody's going to know or understand because I've been playing this for so long. So the Science Vessel is like the Raven for like, you know, from StarCraft 2 you got the Raven, here you got the Science Vessel. Now what he wants to do with the Science Vessel is get a spell called Irradiate, which does damage to a bio unit and everything around it. And you want to target the mutas and especially the Defilers. And occasionally you just use it on a lurker or something like that. So Larva is obviously going to be aware that this is coming. Larva wants to try to get his own Scourge to hit the Science Vessel whenever it's exposed and take that out. So there's a little mini game going on in the air.
Oh, now might be able to sandwich these Mutalisks, and a couple more dying. I think one just died right there. So if I can count correctly, that's like 4 or 5 Mutants, which is definitely on the low count.
Right.
Larva has looked a little shaky on that control, but he does finally have a base up in the upper right.
And similar to the last game, we're seeing a Nidus Canal be made, and he's actually going for the untraditional Zerg style. He's going to go for the Greater Spire. So you can actually turn the Mutalisks into something called Guardians, and kind of just imagine them like Broodlords, but they just fire shells instead of Broodlings. And this is a great way to try to fast win against a Terran.
You know that Guardian attack actually has a name, Tasteless?
Does it? What is it called?
It does. I have no idea. Some nerd out there is like reading the Prima's official strategy guide right now. He knows how to play Brood War, man. He read that thing front to back.
I remember when I was a kid, I'm like, man, they should have hired me to write this. This is horrible. So Terran's going to be headed northbound. Zergs might try to trigger a stim here. Now, eventually, these mutas are going to have to go down and morph.
Oh, man.
Okay, so he's got 2 lurkers on the ramp here.
That should be difficult to deal with. It looks like the Defiler is actually still has not come through there, but he does scan.
Okay, he needs to get a cloud up. He needs to get a cloud up now. Not a lot of time here. Now, by the way, you have the possibility of missing.
Right, you just saw those tank shots miss a couple of times.
So
that's why they didn't take damage.
They did change that in StarCraft 2, so there was a little bit less RNG. But what he wants to do is keep those lurkers up there for as long as possible.
Drop into the main now. There's no Sunken in range of this.
And he might just keep this back here. Okay, 1 Scourge connects. He just needs 1 more Scourge to hit over here. He's going to get the Defiler to come out through here. He's not really targeting anything just yet.
And it's actually really difficult to deal with, but there's the Dark Swarm we were talking about.
Now, Terran just can't do anything when the Dark Swarm's there, which seems crazy, but if you didn't have Dark Swarm, Terran would kill Zerg every time.
Yeah, it actually just wouldn't be close.
Like without fail. Okay, there it is. He morphed the Guardians.
Oh, and now all of a sudden these siege tanks just have to move back.
Now, I'll tell you something, man. Sharp was not anticipating that. This is kind of the other more abstract way to play the game, but you can't do it every time or you wouldn't win because they'd be ready for it. But he's going to go switch into mech now because he actually can't do anything anymore. The third base in the upper right is not going to be killed. He can't push anywhere. He has a window of time to switch his tech.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Guardians are not super common, so it can be surprising. So it's not like Sharp just missed something obvious. It can be sort of a timing, like you just saw right there, where Sharp just doesn't have an answer for it, so he's forced to pull back.
This is a little bit like carriers in Brood War against Terran, although carriers are much more common, but you can like totally get caught off guard and just be like, oh shit, I'm going to lose.
Well, exactly.
It could completely happen. So the Guardians, that was an interesting play. Now the problem is he doesn't have Mutalisks anymore. Those are all Guardians. Guardians are not mobile, just like Broodlords, but they are great for defending. So what Larva does now is he just takes that natural because he can just keep those up there. And really there's not that much that Sharp can do. So Sharp is switching into that style that we've seen Flash popularize, which, by the way, this is still a little bit alien to me because the entire time I was playing, people did not mech like this. They could start out meching, which is fine, but they did not just go Medic Marine, get a Bio Ball, and then just switch into mech. So Terran has map control, and it looks like he's going to try, he might as well, to push into this. Whoa, that was crazy.
Another Dark Swarm coming out. That micro right there takes so much effort.
It's so insane how hard it is because you have so many control groups for your army. A quick dive with those lurkers on top of there can actually kill the entire Terran army if he's not careful. So cool play there. You can see Sharp is just trying to do what he can. He has the barracks lifted off. He's going to use that to spot around the map.
Right. He's not going to be building any more Medic Marine.
That's right. He's totally switched into mech, and this is the new way to play in this matchup. He's going to rely on the Vultures to plant a bunch of mines, and he's actually forcing the Zerg to turtle. Now, Artosis made this really smart observation about this. This mech style is different from the mech style you see Terran make against Protoss, because normally Terran turtle up, and Protoss is like the Zerg, as odd as that sounds.
He might actually just lose his Guardians here.
He's got to be careful.
Oh, yeah, you see him immediately pull back out.
Okay, now he's going to probably blanket this with some irradiates.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so that does damage to everything around it.
And
so
it's actually a pretty big area of effect.
Oh
so
my
you have
God.
to be careful. The Scourge coming in, and they miss.
Now
They'll get killed off first.
this is pretty sloppy here. I think, dare I say, this was totally needless for him to do.
Yeah, he's actually just going to lose almost every single one of those.
A bit of a blunder there by Larva. So what Sharp's doing, Sharp's taking the upper left because Zerg, got super turtley to defend. Terran's going to exploit that and actually take, the upper left main and the center left expansion. And what Terran has to do in this style of mech is actually start to flood the Zerg. He wants to mass up and he wants to just keep throwing tanks out and almost fatigue the Zerg while the Terran continues to expand everywhere. It's a very interesting way to play. It's very new. As old as this game is, the metas are still changing. People are still figuring out new ways to use the units, to use the tech groups to come out. He needs to cast Dark Storm.
Oh my god, he actually just loses that Dark Defiler. It's actually really bad. Vultures are so good at picking off units. They actually murder Zerglings super hard.
Yeah, drones as well.
That is very true.
It's kind of crazy. So, eventually Larva is going to need to acquire the center right location on the map. Now, where does Zerg expand from there? Well, my nerd.
Oh man, these Scourge won't
good
hit.
Save. Good save. It's very hard to continue to expand.
Is this a plague? Yeah,
nice.
He plays everything.
Very good. Those are going to be very susceptible to be killed off later on. Zerg is eventually going to tech up into Ultras with Lings and some Lurkers and combo that with Dark Swarm. It's quite interesting. Now, Terran is just massing up a ton of tanks and getting the upgrades for it. And he sends these Lings out here to try to trigger mines in the minefield. They're very expendable.
And it should be actually mentioned, so for Vultures, it might seem super broken that you can just lay up a ton of mines everywhere. Each Vulture only comes with 3 spider mines, and there's no way to refill those.
That's right. So once you've made them, you've done it. But I mean, talk about getting value out of those units. I mean, the spider mines can do so much damage.
On the top of the ramp.
So this strat is called the Eraser. What you do is you actually cast Irradiate on your mech units. Now, mech units don't get damaged by Irradiate, but you can run them over the bio units below it, and they take damage. So a really cool trick you see a lot of people do is they get 2 science vessels. The vessels will irradiate each other, and then they'll fly those vessels on top of the workers. And it's called the Eraser because you just move it back and forth, and it actually erases everything that's underneath
it.
it.
Oh my god, what is this, Tasteless?
Okay. So this is becoming more popular with Larva specifically. The Queen was not used except as a gimmick.
Oh my god, he's actually clearing out so many mines there.
He's probably going to get Broodlings and just start to shoot down
the tanks.
The tanks. So, you know the Broodlings that you guys are used to in StarCraft 2? I think that Blizzard did a good job making them more central to the game, since when you kill buildings, Broodlings come out. Broodlords can shoot them out. What this does is you can fire this spell at a bio unit. It's going to sound weird because you can do it to a tank, but so theoretically, there's a guy driving the tank. It'll kill that unit. It'll kill that unit, and Broodlings will hatch out. So what he's doing is he's actually hiding the queens, although there's one that you can see here. He's hiding these queens everywhere so that when the onslaught of mass tanks and mech comes out, he just starts to fire down, and we're going to see it right here. Okay, so get ready, guys. Buckle up your seatbelts, nerds.
All right, he's actually doing a great job target firing those spider mines until one day he didn't.
Get ready.
And here it comes, the flight of the queen.
All right, here we go.
Oh my god.
Oh! So sick. Now, when you think about how much a tank costs, which is, it's not cheap, to be able to just one-shot it with a spell, this is an incredible moment in the meta where we're seeing the Zergs really shift and identify the way to fight this style of play. And he is actually doing a fantastic job. He's going to turtle up with Dark Swarm here. Again, if you're just now joining us, ranged units don't deal damage to anything that's under the Dark Swarm, making Lurkers a huge asset. And then he's going to start gunning it down with these queens. This is so cool. This is one of the reasons why Larva is one of the more popular Zerg players we see. That spell is defensive matrix. That actually
more
gives
queens coming in. More Larva being hatched.
That spell actually gives them like a temporary shield boost where they can't take that much damage. And that allows you to have a little bit more sustain on the map. But I'm not sure if Sharp's ever going to be able to push in here if his tanks keep getting gunned down like this.
Well, and it should be noted that the reason that you absolutely need tanks in TVZ is because they deal splash damage, which can hit underneath Dark Swarm. And can see things out.
We got
so many ultras.
All right, here we go. Now this combo with Dark Swarm is pretty scary, although I'm not seeing any Dark Swarms get blanketed down here. But he's going to send these out. These Lings have the Adrenal upgrade here as well. Is he overextending? Looks like he still might have enough.
Well, this is how you can tell it's Brood War, because Ultralisk can die.
That's right. So he realizes he's taking too much damage there. He flees with those ultras.
And the ultras do have the speed upgrade.
Right.
So you can upgrade speed on actually a lot of units in Brood War. And when ultras get those, they are actually just putting on their Nikes. They've laced up their shoes. They are so fast.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Now, the reason why you can't just get mutas against this.
Oh, Scourge actually hitting on a couple of Science Vessels
Yeah,
there.
nicely done. The reason why you don't see mutas used as well is because, okay, there it is, the eraser.
Oh, the eraser!
Oh,
the drones!
I don't even know how many drones that was killed there. That was insane.
God. It's the bubonic plague of the future.
This is crazy.
And he actually got a defiler there, too.
Yeah. So he just puts these, sometimes you'll see them use the eraser technique and park those at a ramp so nothing can come down it. He's actually going to get the space rapid. This is crazy.
That's actually so good.
So
That's
cool.
The perfect usage of that technique, by the way. It's just picture perfect. But here come the Queens again. If Sharp actually just loses all of his tanks here, or actually, oh yeah, wow, he got both Science Vessel Scourge too. The Queens are coming in. So many Broodlings about to come
Now,
out
he can
somewhere.
also cast and snare. Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't. Maybe he EMP'd that.
Oh, that actually might be true.
I mean, I guess that's what you can do.
Well, it's so hard to do that, too, because the EMP missile is actually just slower than my grandmother crossing the street.
It is so slow. Okay,
oh, but there come the Broodlings.
Okay, so he might actually be able to hold on to this location, but it's going to be a little bit tricky here. You know, the Broodling spell is very, very costly. So you want to get like this incredible multitude of Queens here, so you can actually cast it effectively. Here he goes, using that right now.
It's also really good on siege tanks, because when the other siege tanks kill the Broodlings, they deal splash damage to the other tanks around them.
They can hurt themselves.
But it actually just looks like there just aren't enough Queens, or they don't have enough energy to stop this push, although it's so back and forth. This is...
Yeah, this is a bit of a nail biter here.
One of the hallmarks of Brood War 2. You
Right.
just see these fights that never end. They're so good to watch, but they've killed many a caster.
It's insane. This fight is still going on, and you know what? At the last second, he just taps out. And I think that was kind of like one of those Dragon Ball Z moments where they're both shooting the lasers at each other, and one guy's like, and just wills it through. He eventually overcame him, but nicely done. He just had enough. That style that we saw, you know what's so crazy to me about this? I was there on day one of StarCraft when it came out. I was playing in tournaments. I was trying to be the best I could be. Here we are, it's 2016. We're halfway through the year. The game is still changing. The game is still changing.
Somewhere out there's a kid who just went to Best Buy and he's like, what is this battle chess taste?
Right, yeah.
And he's gonna take that home. He's gonna play the same game that these guys are playing here in Korea, across the world, and have that experience all over again.
But the Queen stuff, it's so interesting. I mean, now Queens were very rarely used, but they were kind of like identified as these obsolete units. This is something we always have in RTS. It's like, well, that unit can be good, but there's something else that can take its place. It's a little bit better. So the response from some of the Zergs, in this case specifically Larva, is to curtail the flow of tanks coming at them by using these Broodlings. Now, I believe he also would want to use Ensnare there. That shoots this green. It's kind of like fungal, but you can sort of move under it. But
it also lowers your attack speed, too.
I believe so, yeah. But he could fungal that, and he could use Cracklings pretty effectively there. But it seems like he didn't have enough mana with those Queens. But really cool, nonetheless, to see how much this game continues to change even today.
Exactly. If you went back in time maybe to 2006, 2007, still the heyday of Brood War, nobody's doing this.
Nobody's doing that.
And in fact, a player that we're going to see coming up is actually Zero, who is like really one of the first Zerg players to start using a lot of Queens in different matchups too. I think specifically ZVZ, but yeah.
We'll see what happens. But guys, tell your friends to join us here. This is the ASL. We're going to have this tournament going on just like the GSL all the time. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, our third best of one for tonight's game. Stay tuned.
You ever go down Mobile and Cassie line? Go down
짬뽕이네. 와, 맛있는 거. 근데 어디서 시킨 거예요? 그거 시킨 거 아닌데. 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕인데? 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕? 볶음 뜬 짬뽕, 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 와, 정말로 화끈하네. 볶음 진짬뽕 외에는 절대 현혹되지 마소.
기가 IoT 헬스. 올레 TV 켜고 퍼팅하고 바이크 타고 체지방 체크까지 실감나게 재밌다. 기가 IoT 헬스. 김지원의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성사이다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링. 리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로 과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다. pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0. 이제 모두 핑크하세요. 스타일? 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트래비.
메신저의 혁신이다. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우앱에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우! 헬로맛?
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차이 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표는 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 허허. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다.
네, 아프리카 TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 왜소하고.
맞아요. 위초고 삼국 대결.
장비!
나이스!
나이스!
나 심쿵했어.
17,800. 와, 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요.
아 뭐야 이거 어떻게 보는 건데? 저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다. 진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
올리브영 플러스 유소나 예뻐져라 뷰티 방송. 홈쇼핑 아닙니다. 첫 뷰티 방송 시작하겠습니다. 달콤한 꽃에 겹겹이 둘러싸인 듯. 아 여러분, 이 모든 제품들은 올리브영에서 살 수 있습니다. 새로운 네일 아트로 사랑을 표현할게요. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다. 세상에.
모바일 게임을 넘어선 액션 RPG 히트. 양 팀이 이제 정해졌는데 그냥 대결하면 좀 재미가 없으니까요. 탈락. 이선을 향해 쐈어요.
에이 큐피트야 뭐가?
이 정도라면 4분 때 마무리 되나요? 자, 이거 3대1 뒤에 들어가는데요. 유저 전체에게 깃털 1000개를 선물로 드립니다.
타이밍이 지금인 것 같습니다. 그만한 게임이 지금 모바일 게임에는 없다고.
힘찬 행사로.
chose the wrong side.
우리 올리브영에서 드디어 루이조를 변화시키기 위해 우리 아프리카와 함께 루이조 변화시키기 대장정이 들어갔어요. 이게 스타일 옴브 제품입니다. 피부 밝아지는 것 같은데? 와, 이런 게 올리브영 클래스구나. 러머띠. 와우! 영국 스타일. 근데 멋있네. 나가면 번호 따일 것 같은데? 여기서 마무리할게요. 우리 제품은 올리브영 제품이었습니다.
ASL.
The year is 2016. An 18-year-old game is still this popular, is still this competitive, and we're broadcasting it right here, right now at Africa TV. And this is going to be a pretty crazy match. We got Zero versus Mind coming up here, dude.
Yeah, so both of these players have a very rich Brood War history. You guys don't have to know about it, but we are going to tell you because they're actually just so good. This guy, Zero, used to be at the forefront, one of the best ZVZ players in the world, if not the best.
Crazy.
And that's in an era where J-Dog
Oh my God,
good.
I just realized he was in the coffee shop with us earlier.
Oh my
I didn't actually recognize him, not like in the
What
booth.
year is
There was
it?
this weird thing, he like looked at me, I looked at him, and I didn't do anything, but I didn't actually, oh wow, I feel like a jerk now. Yeah, okay, that was Zero. I've had this happen before where I'll be actually out in Seoul and somebody will come up to me, some younger guy, and he's like, Nick. And then it takes me a minute, I'm like, oh my God, you're one of our players, but I don't recognize you because you're not in a pro gaming outfit, you're dressed like a civilian. Anyways, over here is Mind. This guy is a fixture of Brood War Terran. He's a very solid player.
Yeah, if Calm is the Brain Zerg, then Mind is, I think his nickname was the Scholar Zerg, or Scholar Terran.
Yeah,
yeah, because he's actually just so smart. And for Mind, he actually had this big meteoric rise to popularity in like 2008, I think it was.
Yeah.
Where he actually just won everything, beat everyone. He was so good. And a lot of people put their hopes in him, and it never really paid off. Flash eventually like super eclipsed him, and
right.
I haven't really seen anything from him in a while, but you can see these predictions. I like one of our Korean commentators always only just predicts 100-0.
This is going to be interesting, man. I think this is actually a really even match, though. I mean, I know that one of our casters is predicting 100%, but I feel like actually, like Mind could totally beat Zero. Am I wrong?
Well, Tasteless, I think you're right because I voted 50-50.
That's
so
right.
I think it's a pretty even match, too.
We are just about as safe as we can be, man. We're some basic-ass casters over here.
We're going to be hired by every company in the world.
That's right.
We never say anything
We
edgy.
are the most neutral humans. You see when our toast was like picking putting these like decimals and stuff. 9.7. It's so funny when he did that because he's like trolling the producers, and they're like, "What would make you have a 0.7% more?"
Oh, he must have really done his research.
Yeah, it's so funny. All right, well, we're gonna go right into this match. Do the right thing, guys. Tell your friends to join us here. This is going to be going on every Sunday and every Tuesday. So we're hoping to build this just like we built GSL. We want to have not only the best StarCraft 2 tournament in the world in Korean and in English, but we want to have the best StarCraft 1 tournament in the world in Korean and in English.
Yeah, we've got sick music, we've got sick KT commercials during the break.
That's right.
We've got even sicker players, and we are going to be able to show you guys just how sick these nerds are as soon as we get into this game.
And I believe that moment is going to be right now, guys. So get ready, get hyped. This is Zero versus Mind, a ZVT for best of one, number 3 in the ASL.
김명훈, 박성균, ASL 시즌 1 16강.
All right, let's do this. In the upper left, our Zerg player. He is 0. Easily one of the best Zergs right now, by the way. This player in the bottom left in the white, actually quite old school. He is mined, a very smart Terran. So immediately we got to talk about this map. Brood War has a lot more crazy maps because the game's just been around for a long time, and we've sort of forced upon the pro gamers a lot of very experimental stuff. And this map is no exception. So
it's called Taybec Mountains.
That's right. You start out on the low ground, and there is this kind of odd upper, like high ground ring.
Yeah, well, it's shaped like a sigma, in case you guys know what that is. It's like an E, and it zigzags back and forth, and it's high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground, so it can be difficult to progress all the way across there and make it to your enemy base. But there are a couple of other ways to get there, too.
That's right. So how is this going to look in a TVZ? To be honest, I don't really know. We're going to be learning some of these new maps along with you guys. In case you're wondering, are they still making new maps in StarCraft 1? Yeah, they always have been and will always be making new maps.
Yeah,
so
our next match, Overwatch.
Overwatch,
it's pretty new. So
exactly.
So you're seeing a wall off here. Supply depots do not raise and lower like in StarCraft 2.
Oh, that's a good point.
So instead, you raise and lower the barracks that sits right next to it.
That's right. And there's a lot of cool tricks you can do with that, like parking something under the barracks so it can't land all of a sudden.
Oh, my God. And then you can, like, glitch it through, kind of. If you, like, land on it, it has to move out from underneath it at the same time.
It's really interesting. So we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to share with you guys on that. Kind of interesting to see that Zero went for pool first. There are bunker rushes in this. Bunker rushes in StarCraft 1 were always a lot scarier than the bunker rushes in StarCraft 2, which might sound weird because you can even sell the barracks in StarCraft 1, in StarCraft 2. But
you can salvage the bunkers.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, salvage the bunker.
If you could sell barracks, I'd be a multi-millionaire right now.
Now, take a look here. What in the hell is that SCV doing up here? I think he might make a factory on the high ground.
Oh, man. And that's very distinctive of what style he wants to go with. If you float the barracks, you do build a couple of Marines. Oh, he actually started and then canceled that Marine.
because he's got to lift to get the SCV out. He has to generate the illusion that he hasn't scouted, and that's important to do while that Overlord's up there.
Oh, that's really smart.
So it's kind of funny. You know, StarCraft players, it's not just a game about mechanics and speed, it's also a game about line.
Oh, it is a factory.
He's going to make the factory. Now, this is a strat tailored specifically for this map. He can get a Vulture onto the high ground above that expansion, and you cannot mine from there. He can also, if he wants to, float the factory onto the low ground. Now, I'm not 100% sure that's what he's going to do, but that's what I would do. And I don't believe it's going to be worthwhile to make a tank, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm open to whatever he wants to try out here.
So this SCV will get a full scout of the main, and so these mains are actually, there's a base with minerals and gas in the middle, and then there's a large sort of ring of buildable ground around it. So
right.
I'm not sure, he's obviously calculated this or exactly how effective this Vulture is going to be. There's also, if you don't want to build the factory all the way up there, there's some stacked temples and mineable minerals that you can use to get away from that.
This is actually a really old strat he's doing.
Oh, is he gonna build it in the base?
Yeah. Okay. So
oh my God.
Well, so this is actually crazy. This is a really, really old build, but he's using it on a very new map. So he actually makes 2 starports, and he's going to start making wraiths, and he's going to try to actually flood the Zerg base with so many wraiths that he starts to kill the overlords.
He still hasn't scouted it yet either.
And you can't make any more Hydras because your supply blocked, and he starts killing drones. While he does this, he makes a Vulture in here.
Oh, and there's the Vulture.
There it is.
And this is actually so bad because you can actually kill every drone with good Vulture micro.
Now, the threat to the Vulture is the Hydralisk. He needs to actually kill a drone here. Now, remember, there's a certain amount of momentum that you have to have, so you have to keep that Vulture moving. You really can't ever really stop it, or it takes a little bit of time to pick back up. Now, here comes the second Vulture.
And this is the one that's actually going to do all this damage because some of those drones are actually weakened. You just have to avoid these Hydralisks.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to run over you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, not at all. I was just going to describe Vulture Micro because it's kind of like Muta Micro in that you can actually show how good you are with the Vulture by how much you can keep it moving and how well or badly you can avoid these Hydras.
Okay, so he's doing a great job. Now, I thought he was going to land the Vulture onto the high ground, but I guess not.
I don't think it reaches anywhere on the high ground.
No, I think it actually can hit the mineral patches, I think. if he has something up there. So while he does this, he makes these wraiths. Now the problem is all the units he's investing in are not going to be strong later on. But you get a bunch of wraiths out here. You start to hit the overlords. It forces Zerg to stay on this Hydra tech. He actually does not want to lose that factory, by the way.
He might. It's burning down, so
yeah, he might actually send an SCV out there. I don't know. I'm not sure. This is interesting. So, is he going to keep making wraiths here, or does he stop?
Okay, well, he does have these 2 in. Now, wraiths do not deal a lot of damage to ground units. If you have a high enough number, they can be used to kill and harass worker lines, but that's not their main purpose by any means.
Yeah, a lot of Koreans call them paper planes because they actually die so fast. Now, the air-to-air, they're pretty scary, but they can also cloak. So this is kind of like the Banshee is like a modified version.
Is there anything they can't do, Tasteless?
Well,
they can't transform and land on the ground.
Win a fight straight up, air to ground is one of them. Yeah, they're pretty horrible with that. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, there's not that much. So they're really these tactical like harass units, kind of like what we saw with the Vulture there. Now, because the attacking units like the Hydras on the ground can't just ghost through everything. The workers can ghost through them, but they can't do the opposite. You try to abuse the position the Hydras are in and try to eke out extra damage. Now behind this, he's going 1 barracks mass Marine because Marines are actually very strong against Hydras. Lurkers are strong against Marines, but he may have actually delayed the Lurker tech considerably. However, if Mind does not win this game pretty quickly here, I think that Zero is going to be in a better position.
Oh, and he's actually lost a raid. That's actually really big because unlike Corsairs, you don't actually want to keep building those raids because they're just not that great a unit.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, that's one of the things that I'm worried about here. Oh my God, he needs to say that. It's actually over there.
Oh, no, SCV? Okay. Wait, what? No!
No, he'll get it for sure. So he's got 2 more wraiths coming out, and he's going to try to just do as much damage as he can. Now, the problem is the Hydra push down here is actually a little bit scary.
Now, do these have range? I
think that's range.
Okay.
I believe so. I might be wrong.
So you can't actually upgrade the Hydra range. Everybody's probably familiar with that. But it's these raids that are actually kind of interesting because you want to be able to kill off as many drones and force these Hydras to choose between putting on pressure or defending the base.
Right. What you're trying to do is you're trying to throw Zerg off of the proper tech while even though you got your Medic Marine later on, you're hoping that you put Zerg in an awkward enough spot that you can actually do a good amount of damage. Now here we're going to have a straight up fight. He's got Stim. Now Hydras are not going to beat Stim Marines.
No. Much like in StarCraft 2, very little beats Stim Marines unless you've got some AoE in there.
Exactly.
You can see him moving across that high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground, using that to sort of stop this push or make it a little bit slower because he does need time for these sunken colonies to finish.
Now the sunken colonies might be able to curtail the push here from the Marines. Them combo together, I think he's going to be okay. Mind may have to expand here, and this is already teched out to be a very odd-looking TVZ. Mind really, taking control of the direction of this game.
It's like he thought about it ahead of time.
Yeah, it's like he came in here with a plan.
With
What's
his
going
mind.
on? He's continuing to fly around with these wraiths, and he's just going to see if he can't take out overlords. But Zerg is finally getting these lurkers up here.
Okay, so
finally,
right, Lurker, and you still need Defiler tech, and I'm not sure. I didn't see a Defiler mountain, so he might not have that tech just yet.
I think he's not going to have that no matter what.
Okay,
because he's stuck on 2 bases.
Right. Oh, that is actually true.
So normally they're on a 3rd base because it just costs so much gas, but there are exceptions to that. And Mind is doing a really cool thing. Now he's still on 1 base, which is really weird. Ooh, good targeting. Got 1 lurker. He's still on 1 base. He's going to eventually have to expand, but he's trying to race to a science vessel in the hope that he can maybe use a radiate and some good stems and just keep Zerg on 2 bases for a long time.
You also need science vessels, much like observers, because they do help you. Oh, wow.
What was that?
So Lurkers, I don't believe they're as expensive.
Oh,
my God, he's got a bad rally point. And it's moving around the wrong side there. That actually, okay, well, he is going to get a free units.
Nicely done there. Now, Terran is just trying to make sure that Zerg's boxed in. Now remember, guys, you can only have 12 units in a control group, so it's pretty tricky to control your army when it gets too big. So anytime you see these armies move, it's actually a lot more manual labor to get that done.
Yeah, man. You think that while you're playing the game, the workers are working, but no, you're a worker.
You're just doing everything.
Just a big drone with a keyboard.
He's going to try to drop, which is actually pretty interesting. Now, this is not a popular style that Terran's using. Terran's basically pulling out a really old play out of the books here and seeing if he can't kind of throw the Zerg off off balance with that. Now Zerg is going to try to go around, but I don't believe there's anything to actually defend against this drop.
Right. It feels weird to say that Terran doesn't drop Zerg because it's so common in StarCraft 2, but it really isn't a thing.
Yeah,
in,
it's quite rare. It's quite risky as well. Now, he's gone around this army. Let's see how much damage this drop does. And let's also see if he can't intercept these 3 tanks. You need the tanks. They help out a lot.
Oh, he's not going to get scouted, but he is going to be in a great position.
All right, here we go.
He's coming up the ramp. The Hydra's right on top of the tanks. All of those should have died, but this drop is actually going to do a lot of damage.
And he's going right on top of that spawning pool. He's going to take this out. No more Lings here. You actually want to combo the Lurkers with the Lings. So that's actually a great play there. And he might have enough to even face off against these Hydras. And there's going to be an attack over here into the
bunker. The bunker is going to go down. You can see the Overlord trying to make it more difficult to repair. It goes down. The Lurkers are going to kill everything in front of them.
That was a little subtle thing. I'm glad you pointed out, Rapid. He actually had the Overlord on top of the bunker, so it's just a little bit harder to quick repair on it. And if he can get these Lurkers over here, he's going to be able to get into the heart of where the Terran is mining. Now, can he get the Science Vessel? If he gets the Science Vessel and he gets the scanner, he doesn't have vision there. Oh my God!
I think Zero might have just done this.
He might have just done it.
No more workers. That base is pretty dead, and I don't even think this counter push is going to work either.
Yeah, I know, because there's no Science Vessel over this, right? Like maybe Terran could try to win its space trade.
Oh my God! The
he gets the
Lurkers. No more tank. It's up to this Eminem.
He uses the last scan. He's going to
kill every lurker.
He has to get all of them. It runs out of time.
Oh my God!
I think that's checkmate.
This is so bad.
That's it. He's going to make one more vessel.
There it is.
There it is.
But,
but he can't get in there. It doesn't matter.
I didn't actually notice he had that vessel up.
No, I actually didn't see it either.
So these lurkers are actually just immortal. They're not. Oh yeah, and there's
that's
the
GG. Check and mate, buddy. Damn, that was a good tactical play there by Zero. He actually managed to run around. You know, mine was playing a very old, very brainy strat. He did a good job. I don't think he did enough damage with those wraiths.
Well, really interesting start too with the factory moving over the wall and then building those couple of vultures.
But, dude, I kid you not, people were doing that like in the year 2000, but people just stopped doing it because eventually you just check for the factory and you're like, okay, now you are
been sitting on this strategy for like 10 years.
It's so rare to have anybody actually use that. That was really special. But it didn't quite work out. Now, Terran stays on one base for so long because Zerg is so pressured. Zerg can get the third base up, but if you make a mistake with a play like that, Terran does not survive the late game. And you know, a counterattack like that perfectly highlights why you don't want to see Terrans doing that every single time.
Right.
It's not safe, but regardless, cool game. We are going to go. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was just saying, cool game, cool map. Everything's really cool. So if you guys like cool things.
You're cool. I'm cool. You guys are definitely cool if you're watching
cool.
this.
All those guys in the chat, man.
That's right.
They're so cool.
Even the guys that post dumb stuff. They're cool, too. We are going to go to a short break. When we come back, our final match for tonight's ASL, bringing Brood War back.
I'd
짬뽕이네? 아이 어서 시켰어래. 그거 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕인데 제가 볶았어요. 볶음 찐짬뽕래. 볶음 찐짬뽕, 볶음 찐짬뽕. 깜빡깜빡하지 말래. 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕. 또 대빵 나겠어래.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 끊김없이 게임을 즐기죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성 사이다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링.
리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로
과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다.
pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0.
이제 모두 핑크하세요.
스타일 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트래비.
메신저의 혁신입니다. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우앱에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우! 라마?
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차에 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표는 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 허허. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다.
네, 아프리카 TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 왜소하고.
맞아요. 위초고 3국 대결.
장비! 나이스! 나이스!
나 심쿵했어.
17,800원. 와! 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요.
아 뭐야 이거 어떻게 본 건데? 저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다. 진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
올리브영 플러스 유소나 예뻐져라 뷰티 방송. 홈쇼핑 아닙니다. 첫 뷰티 방송 시작하겠습니다. 달콤한 꽃에 겹겹이 둘러싸인 듯. 여러분, 이 모든 제품들은 올리브영에서 살 수 있습니다. 새로운 네일 아트로 사랑을 표현할게요. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다. 세상에.
모바일 게임을 넘어선 액션 RPG 히트. 양 팀이 이제 정해졌는데 그냥 대결하면 좀 재미가 없으니까요. 탈락. 이선을 향해 쐈어요.
큐피트야 뭐가?
이 정도라면 4분 때 마무리 되나요? 자, 이거 3대2 길 들어가는데요. 유저 전체에게 깃털 1000개를 선물로 드립니다.
타이밍이 지금인 것 같습니다. 그만한 게임이 지금 모바일 게임에는 없다고.
힘찬 행사로.
You chose the wrong side.
우리 올리브영에서 드디어 루이조를 변화시키기 위해 우리 아프리카와 함께 루이조 변화시키기 대장정이 들어갔어요. 이게 스타일 옴브 제품입니다. 피부 밝아지는 것 같은데? 와, 이름이 올리브영 클라스구나. 러마띠. 와우! 영국 스타일. 근데 멋있네. 나가면 번호 따일 것 같은데? 여기서 마무리할게요. 우리 제품은 올리브영 제품이었습니다.
ASL.
All right, guys, welcome back. We've got one more game for you tonight. We just got done with a pretty technical TVZ. Mind actually just got outmaneuvered, but I gotta give Mind props. Actually, that strat he picked was pretty cool.
It was pretty old, kind of just like Mind was in Zero, like you were actually saying earlier.
Right.
Could be the best or one of the best players or just Zergs in this tournament.
It's interesting. I'm glad that Zero made it. I did not expect for us to have the factory float and to the double starboard. It's so weird because you understand, like for me, I was playing so long ago. Everybody knows that strat though. That exact strat. You get in the wraiths and you start to hit him. Then you go Eminem on the low ground and try to bust him. But to see it now used this much later on in a very important match. This is the big Brood War tournament that's going on. To see him actually go for that and have some degree of efficacy with it is crazy.
Well, one of the big reasons why Afrika is so popular is that they actually invented a time machine to take us back to 2006.
Dude, I want to get in a time machine and go back and win all the Brood War tournaments. Like with all the stuff I know now, I'm just this like random bearded white guy that like comes out of nowhere, like nobody knows where I'm from and
You're
stuff.
You're basically the bearded Gur.
The bearded Gur, the bearded Guillaume, come back and just take these guys out. I'm like selecting strategies from the future, literally. Taking these guys out. I don't go back in time and kill Hitler. I go back and win a Brood War tournament. I got to be the best StarCraft 1 player that there ever was.
Oh,
all right.
God.
So we're going to hop into this next match.
It is our last match, but it could be our best match, Tasteless.
I like what you did there. We got good old Best playing in this one.
Yep, one of the 6 dragons as far as Protoss were. So
that's right.
In case you guys don't know what that is, there are these 6 Protoss players who, for their time period, were just the best. And of course, Best named himself very appropriately. He had, I think, at one time like a 75% win ratio, just against, I think it was just his PvP. So he's just one of the best Protoss players.
Which is really weird because PvP is kind of a constricted matchup in a lot of ways. But he actually really knew how to bend all the rules.
Very, very strong, and he's facing off against a guy that I don't know. At least I had a little bit of trouble, researching things. But you've probably heard of Last more times than I have, Taser.
Last is a really good player. I actually don't have a ton to say about him. I'd say he's very well-rounded, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does against Best. I think he's going to have a harder time beating Best. But I might have a little bit of bias, especially when I followed Brood War. I mean, I was almost exclusively following Protosses.
Right.
Because I was just trying to figure out what strats and builds I could use, what I could steal from them to use in my own play. Look, I think Last can win this. A lot of this is going to come down to the openers. Are we going to have a standard PvT, or are we going to have an alternative PvT? It's tricky. And you can see here, Best, a lot of fans cheering for this guy right now. He is definitely the favorite as far as who everybody wants to have win here.
I think the biggest thing about me for watching Best again is it's kind of like earlier on today we got a chance to see Free, the other one of the dragons who are in our tournament this year, and it's just like it's so surreal to see these guys still playing. They were some of the best players just ever in Brood War, and now they're still going, they're still playing in the ASL this season.
Well, it's crazy. It's not even StarCraft win numbers, guys, are not dropping. They're actually rising in Korea, and now. With the ASL, we're hoping to see those numbers raised internationally because this is the original old school game. And once again, 0 to 100, but everybody else on the exact same page, 40 to 60.
That's that caster synergy.
That's right, man. It's us and the one bias guy. So let's see what actually unfolds here. The thing about Best and the thing about Protoss in general is they got a lot of cool tools and tricks they can administer to really punish a Terran early on. Terran kind of has to weather that storm, but Terran a lot of times ends up with a stronger army comp in the game. This is very much a game where Protoss gets to be the one poking the Terran. However, there are some cool strats, and if we start to see them here, I'll definitely highlight them. There are a lot of cool things Terran could do to try to punish Protoss early on. This is the matchup that Terrans had to figure out with Mech. This is the Mech matchup.
And we've actually seen a lot of M&M bio, in case you guys know that term, play from Terrans so far. We actually haven't seen a really committed Mech push like it's classically known, and that might not even exist anymore with how much it's been changing so recently.
Well, I think we're going to see the standard Mech play here. I feel like this might be the most solved matchup, but anything can happen. Get ready. This is game number 4, our last match in the StarCraft Brood War ASL.
김성현, 도재우, ASL 시즌 1 16강.
We have like the Inception music there. It's like, wah, I have to go a level deeper. Into the ASL. If you die in a Brood War game, you die in real life.
We've got trapdoors underneath all the players up there.
There's alligators down there. They drop down the hatch. Like, ah! We just see the alligator's tail move around. All right. Well, this is going to be a lot of fun. Over here was last in the upper right, and the purple is going to be best.
All right. You ever have those? If you guys are old enough to remember dial-up modems, you remember that sound where they dial up. That's exactly what the opening music for Brood War is like for me. It's just like so much nostalgia.
Nostalgia, yeah. Well, I'm really glad that now we're here in the present, and you can actually have high-speed internet. And if your mom picks up the phone while you're in a game, you don't get disconnected.
It's like you can either play.
Dude, what is he doing?
He's moving out to the middle. Now, sometimes you would move out to the middle of the map and build barracks.
Oh, my.
And I think that's what he's going to do. Oh, my God. It's a barracks.
Well, this is not going to be the game we thought it was going to be. Let's see. I believe he cut SCVs, so I think he's going to send maybe a second one. I'm not sure.
Usually it is 2 barracks rush, correct?
Because, yeah, he has almost no SCVs.
So he's building one now. But he's definitely behind, so he's cut production early. This is going to be a rush. If you guys want to, put your shoes back on, tie your laces, we might be out of here extremely early.
So Artos' predictions there with his Rain Man, like it's exactly 66.6 repeating % chance to win predictions. So why is Terran doing this? Well, let me try to speculate for you guys here. He might be able to really throw the Protoss off. Now, generally, Terran can't hurt Protoss early, but, a lot of Protosses get a little bit too comfy because of that. They're not afraid of anything. And if you were to blindside him with a little rush like this, and by the way, if he's going to do the rush, it should work out pretty handedly because he actually is setting the SCV, fortunately for him, to the right location.
So he will scout this. Adepts don't exist, guys. Early bio units are actually pretty good if you can get them in there super early enough. Now, a lot of Protoss, when they go for an expand, they'll actually just go for cannons and forges. That's not what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
So this won't be impossible to hold, but will take a lot of great micro.
Now, he might make a bunker. He could make it, maybe try to make it on top of the pylon with the gate, or he could make it at the bottom of the ramp, and I'm really not entirely sure. Let's see. Again, this is a game that's still evolving, that's still changing.
So we've got 3 SCVs, 2 Marines, a 3rd Marine just now coming up.
So he makes the bunker on the low ground. All right. So this is really interesting. The Protoss cannot easily leave the base. Now, what is the follow-up with that? And does he bunker crawl here?
Do believe that's what we're about to see.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the bunker on top of the ramp.
So he wants to get this over here. Now, the reason why he has a bunker back there is if all the probes are pulled, and he tries to just go for it, he jumps back inside that other bunker back there. Now, he will probably make a 3rd bunker, ideally in range of the Nexus.
Now, I believe this one SCV will die. That's actually really crucial, but these Marines are starting to go to work. 4 Marines and an SCV to body block.
Oh my God.
I think he's done it, Tasteless.
Let's see. Remember, Dragoons with range can outrange the bunkers.
Well, you can also drill these probes through the Marines. It doesn't look like he's doing that, though. There's a shield battery behind this, but he's lost so many probes.
Oh, he needs to get inside the bunker!
Oh my God, he makes it!
Wow. Okay, wait, is there even, there's 2 probes mining. Okay, now, I'm not lying, guys. Protoss can still hang on. He needs Dragoon range to finish, and he is getting that. He can actually outrange the bunker if he does that.
All right, the Dragoons actually really good at killing Marines. I think they 3-shot them, but he does need to be careful.
Oh! He needs to finish that. He needs to finish that badly.
Oh, he's going to kill the SCV, so that bunker's not going to finish.
Wow, look at that shield battery. We're in 2016, man. Shield batteries are pretty good.
They're so good, man.
It's crazy.
This vindicates the old me who had built them because I actually thought they were good. But no, we've actually seen them work once very well last week.
Yeah, with Shuttle.
Yeah, Shuttle versus Effort turned that matchup on its head. And now, how successful has this rush been? I mean,
it's definitely served its purpose. Now, see, there it is. Dragoon range finishes.
So you can outrange that bunker. Now, you can do that sexy micro with the Marines where you pop them out and then try to get hits on the Dragoons and then get them back in.
Good plays here. Jumps back in the bunker with one of those Marines.
Just so that it takes a little bit longer to deal with it. And I don't think he's actually going to commit to this. No, there are Marines in that bunker, but he's... The rush is stopped at this point.
That's right. So now what Terran does is Terran basically had more workers back there. You can see that a lot of the probes had to be rebuilt. And so now he can clean up that bunker pretty easily. And now actually there is room here for Best to try to do a counter push here. Now Dragoons in range can kind of beat everything that Terran has. Oh, you cad you.
He waits for the Dragoons to move out on the map, and now it's only probes versus Marines.
Now see, he just wants to interrupt the mining a little bit more.
He's just taxing the economy at this point. You can tell this is Brood War because that's not a birthday cake the probe is carrying.
That's right. So he's just doing a little bit of extra damage, whatever he can do to just get an extra worker here, especially when you're on low econ like this. That one extra Marine could do a lot of great damage. So from here, Last attempts to set up for a normal game, as does Best.
Well, and it should be noted that even denying a little bit of mining time is more effective in Brood War because probes and workers actually carry more minerals per trip. So if you have less trips, it's more of a tax on the economy. And with a nice wall being set up here, Last should be able to hold any incoming push. But where are we at right now, Tasteless? How effective was that early rush?
Okay, it was not a failure. I don't know if it necessarily did enough damage. We see that Terran is going to have tanks out a little bit later than he would have normally wanted to have them out at. I think both players should basically be fine. Had he gotten in there and gotten a few more probes and knocked Terran back a little bit further, or excuse me, Protoss back a little bit further, it would be even better. But I actually have to say that I think that Best did a pretty impressive job of holding that.
Knock him back into when this game was made.
It's kind of crazy that we saw that strat used there. Now, the problem when Protoss has to fight the Terran like that is a lot of times the Marines just get too many probes, and Protoss is literally down to just like one probe mining, whereas Terran has so many more, and so that's a long delay here. In this case, I think the Protoss should still kind of be okay. Terran doesn't have any real push potential for a little while now because that was all made so late here. So Protoss is going to get a Robo Bay and try to get an observer and see what's going on. And Terran is actually, interestingly enough, setting up for a quick drop. So he might just make some vultures here and try to drop them in there, hoping that Protoss is a little bit too spread out and can't handle it.
Yeah, and so when you do vulture drops, they're kind of like crackling drops in that if you don't take care of them pretty fast, then you can actually just lose all of your workers.
Yeah, exactly. So the second Nexus is up, and he can't, there's not a ton right now that, oh, by the way, you need to get an add-on there to get the dropship in this. Yeah, there's not a ton that Protoss can do for the time being. You have those few Dragoons out there to try to stop a scouting SCV, but you eventually want to go back because drops are possible. Or if you were to run a bunch of vultures by you and go into your base, that's another way to play.
All right, and at this point, the game has stabilized, and another great thing about Brood War is that even if you do fail an early rush, sometimes, depending on how hard you all in on that, the game doesn't just end at that point.
Yeah, that's very true. It's kind of funny how that works out. I guess it's just sort of the nature of the flow of the game, but yeah, you can actually take a lot of damage early on. You can even lose all your probes and start back at 1, and you can sometimes come back into that. So,
of course, less easier for Terran because you don't have mules, but maybe that's
right.
why you guys want to go play Brood War if you ever just wished Terran didn't have mules.
Yeah, they don't have mules, but they do have vultures,
oh, God,
which are pretty scary. So he's going to send this hugging the top. Let's see where the Observer actually comes out at. I believe Protoss has 5 Dragoons total. I might be wrong, but if this is positioned in such a way, it's like actually pretty damn scary for the Protoss. If he gets behind the minerals, I'm sorry, there's more than 5. There's actually 7.
Okay, now he's not going to see this dropship, but he will be able to get these vultures inside. He drops 1 in the natural and then ferrying the rest into the main. There's actually a tank in there. What?
Yeah, he's going to try to use the tank splash damage. Now, once the tank sieges up into siege mode, it can't be picked up like you can with the
He does get a big hit on those probes there. He actually took out 3 or 4 with that one. He's going to get a last-second one. Overall, maybe 5, 6 probes went down.
Yeah,
a little optimistic.
Not bad. Not the damage you wanted to do. I was also surprised by the tank being in there. That's an older strategy, but nowadays people generally say that if your control is that good, why would you send a tank in there? Because a vulture can do so much more damage and plant some mines and run away. So he did lose 1 tank, and it really is all about the tank buildup in this matchup.
Like you said, we're probably going to be seeing more of a mech style, that armory coming up, really committing to that. And a different style than we've seen in all of our previous games, which have included at least 1 big M&M ball.
So this is what's so funny about this matchup. Initially, when the game came out, everybody thought Protoss was just broken because Marines would just get kited by Dragoons and Reavers, Psystorm, DTs. I mean, infantry don't stand a chance against Protoss's basic units.
Just imagine if Stalkers had a range upgrade. Like, it's actually just insane.
Yeah, and the Stalkers had more HP. Like, Dragoons don't need Blink. They're actually just these big, tanky, scary units. So, eventually, the Terrans started just making tanks to try to hold off the Protoss stuff, and then, kind of collectively all over the world, the Terrans said, wait a minute, why don't we just make tanks? And these vultures are actually pretty good. They can plant mines, they blow up Dragoons. And we kind of saw this different style of play come out of Terran where they do just get vultures and tanks, eventually Goliaths to combat any air. And that was when mech came to be. And that made Terran an especially interesting race because they were this funny race that just kind of had to have a different composition and style of play in each of the matchups. And then Protoss had to kind of reroute their entire play style where they just start to tech up because it takes Terran so long to make these mech units that they thought, okay, maybe we should just get observers and get other bases up. Maybe we should just try to expand to combat the fact that these really powerful mech units are coming out, even though it takes longer to get them. What does Protoss do? Because a mech army is actually pretty scary. And now we're going to see that push. So since he doesn't make Marines, he floats the barracks out here.
There's just one random dropship from last. I thought he was being sneaky, but
I think he's going to fake it. I think he's going to run that into the main.
Because I don't actually think it has units in it.
No, it's for sure empty. I think what he wants to do is run that into the main and scare the Protoss out of position and then maybe try to hit this third base.
Oh, and one of the reasons that's so good to scare the Protoss out of position is because one of the big ways that you stop mech is by just pushing up and forcing the tanks to siege and then backing up.
That's
because
right.
It's way harder to move a tank line in Brood War.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Rapid. That's what you want to do. You want to basically get, because the mech army is like so absolutely terrifying. You want to get them into siege up, and then instead of engaging, you run back. And then when they end siege, you run up again, force them to siege up, and then you run back. And Protoss, it's interesting. Protoss has to kind of do this hit and run game of cat and mouse with the Terran to try to keep them as immobilized as possible while Protoss continue to gobble up resources on their side of the map, getting more gateways, ultimately, in this game at least, getting Arbiters out here, which are going to combo well with that big, scary ground army, not just for the Cloak, but for Stasis as well. Stasis puts units in this like lockdown state where they can't attack, but they also can't take damage.
All right, so this map is Overwatch. That means we have this giant Overwatch symbol in the middle with a ring of ramps surrounding it. So if you can make it, you have to pass through the middle of the map in order to get to the other main bases out there. It's a 4-player map. So that does make it good for defending for Terrans because they can sit on top of their ramp and put tanks up there, which has allowed Last to take his third. But it can also make it very difficult to push up through like lurkers on high ground.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if Terran actually avoids the middle of the map with the tanks altogether. He's going to try to go around. Now, this is what really crafty Terrans do. This is what Artosis would do to me a lot when I would have to play him in matches. I'd have my Dragoon somewhere out on the map, and he would just run around planting mines there. And he's going to go for a drop. Pretty cool. Now, this should be spotted, but it might not matter. You can still do a lot of damage, against the other player. Protoss just wants to get a ton of Dragoon, not just Dragoons and Zealots. He wants to get a ton of gateways and just have this massive infantry army to try to outmaneuver
now,
this
sometimes,
Terran.
like you said, you can spot the dropship, but it's so difficult to maneuver your units back into base that they can still do a lot of damage. Here we go into the mineral line. There's going to be one and maybe no more for that.
Yeah, nicely done over here. Takes out just a few workers. And, that's something. That's no small feat. To just take out a few workers. You got to remember they have to manually grab the workers and get them to go back there and mine. And you can only, like we've been saying, but it's so important to note, only select 12 units, 12 units at a time. So he really taxes the other player as far as the tasks he's required to juggle.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, when you oversaturate your minerals, there's less AI on the workers, so they can glitch up as they move over one another to the mineral patches.
Well, what also happens is they don't auto disperse evenly. So you got to really make sure. Okay, I need to have 1/4 over here, 1/4 over there, and so on and so forth. Because you're completely correct. I mean, there's a lot more heavy lifting, so anytime you can make the game a little bit more burdensome, it usually pays off.
So this is actually a really important move here that Last is doing. He's trying to come around behind the Protoss army and plant mines behind them, so essentially they're stuck or it just immobilizes them because they have to make sure that they kill off these Widow mines. Or
Spider mines. Okay, so here's the other tech switch.
Oh, boy.
So you can go carriers on in this matchup. Now, the carriers are only as strong as the Protoss is not expecting them. Protoss have to make Goliaths to actually combat them. If they're too behind, they have to make nothing but turrets in their main and just weather out the interceptors. So because he was spotted and because he saw the Arbiter tech, Best suddenly switched tech. He wants to get about at least 6 carriers before this is going to be really strong.
And like you said, if you don't scout the carriers, you lose. There's very little counterplay.
Right. So he has this one Arbiter out here, and now he's going to switch full on into carriers. Now this is only because that drop happened. Now that does give a window of time where the Terran can actually push out and maybe just end the game, but the Terran has to be cognizant of that. And when you think about it, as Terran, you're going to be saving your scans for the Arbiters, right? Mm-hmm. Not scanning the mains.
Well, Arbiters cloak everything below them.
Right,
I'm not sure if you touched on that, but that is why you need it. They're like a mini mothership. Recall works the opposite way, where you bring things to the Arbiter instead of back to your base. Some Spider Mines being dragged into the Vultures. They actually do clear a little bit out.
Now remember, these guys have like almost their entire keyboard layout set to these units. So a lot of APM here just required to move this around properly. Now he's going to keep this back. What he wants to do is to slow this down as much as possible.
Oh my God, those are supply depots.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? He's got a nice wall in over there, so it's harder to move through. Now, Protoss cannot directly attack into this, he'll lose. He might try to counterattack, but what he wants to do...
Oh my God, so many drones. They're not drones, they're probes.
He wants to get enough carriers that he can blindside this army, kill off all the tanks. So he's going to try to pull the Terran army back. Now, will Last bite on that? I'm not sure.
Right, and the way that you deal with carriers, if you do deal with them, is with Goliaths. They're another mech unit. They shoot ground to air. They're not like the Goliaths that you played in the single-player campaign, and he actually just has none of them.
Yeah, he just doesn't have any anti-air just yet. Now, Terran did not bite fully. He still has some of his units coming back here. Nice stasis!
EMP.
That actually walls out the other tanks from coming down here. However, he's still got these. Okay, he's got 3 carriers so far. He doesn't want to show them yet, but I think at this point in time, Best maybe a little bit, Last maybe a little bit suspicious. Might be saying, well, wait a minute, you don't seem to have a lot of anything. But I don't see any Goliaths popping out yet, man.
All right, so yes, still no Goliaths at this point, and more carriers. I think he has like 5 carriers right now, and you do have to build up interceptors on those. Interceptors still cost money. It's the same way that you guys would expect. There's a random tank out there.
Now, okay,
oh,
he's going to
come.
Here we are.
Oh my God, this is going to be so insane. No anti-air for last over his tanks.
Now, does he just try to run up here? Is he going to pull away with the tank?
I think he just loses everything.
Yeah, now you just want to keep chasing these tanks. Now note that he wants to gun down the science vessels as well. Anything else he can get here is pretty huge. Gets a science vessel. Now he's going to be making Goliaths, and he's going to be making a lot of them. But Protoss got torn up pretty hard back there by some of those that push that actually happened just earlier on. He's going to try to do as much damage as he can. Even getting this command center is pretty huge. More carriers come out.
A huge run by those vultures, and that's going to really hurt Best's economy.
And this is pretty smart because the vultures are inconsequential. So he sends those up there to kill off the workers. That's going to force those carriers back. But once the carriers have been revealed, the entire game begins to change. So the first few moves you make with those carriers is really important. Will he have enough to face this? He's probably going to send back that Arbiter and try to cloak those carriers, but Goliaths are now in the game. The map is Overwatch. It's big. It's open. It's a tough fight for carriers to take on mass Goliaths. I definitely feel like Last is in good shape so far.
So good carrier maps are ones that have large amounts of just empty space where no units can go. So you can sit the carriers there and siege them. There's also carrier micro. That's the way that you micro the interceptors.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, you want to try to hit and then move away.
There's no graviton catapults here. You actually have to do a lot of controlling your own. Now, here's another vulture run by. It's actually going to get a few probes there. Still waiting to see what the next big move is with those carriers, though.
Oh, miss play right there. He's actually walking these up in here. Now, DTs combo well with the carriers.
There's a scan to try to clear them out, but those things can actually just kill everything here.
Yeah, the DTs just do so much damage. And, yeah, that's a Brood War DT for you. So yeah, you want to get a lot of DTs because that way you can defend a lot with just a very little bit and try to milk out the scans. Now the DTs are going to come out here. This is going to force Protoss to engage. Let's see, is he going to be able to actually get in here?
It's actually so many carriers, too. That's like 7, 8 carriers.
Now what he wants to do, there we go, beat me to it. He wants to stasis a good chunk of that, ideally getting some of the carriers in with that, and he wants to start to shift click these. Now there's 2 ways to play this as Terran. You either try to get underneath the carriers and hit them, or you're confident that you have enough Goliaths that eventually the carrier interceptor count gets low enough. He does not have enough. In fact, Best wins this fight.
Oh, and look at these DTs. Still going to work.
Jesus, man.
Oh, my God. Is that guy...
He's gonna kill it. Watch this. Is he get it?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
So crazy.
This game disgusts me,
It's so crazy. So this is kind of the alternative PvT style. You go mass carriers. You force them into Goliaths. Now, you may want to try to switch back into ground because mass Goliaths are going to lose to Zealot Dragoon. So it's kind of tricky. So here he goes. He shift clicks down these Goliaths. There's already another big-ass army above this. He might try to go to the source of where the carriers are being made, a.k.a. the starports in the main, try to do a tech reset. By the way, Best is still sticking with mass carriers. Now, Best might be able to defend everything. How does he do the offensive play? That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure.
Now, something really cool about Control, might be able to talk about it here, is if you select all of your carriers, then all of the interceptors only attack one thing. So you actually want to have multiple control groups of carriers so that you can have lots of interceptors attack lots of things, right? Or am I wrong there?
It just depends. It just depends. Okay. It's like, in this case, I think he has to actually target with everything because the army's so big.
Right.
But he has to be careful to not overextend because if these Goliaths can shuffle right under the carriers, then you lose all the carriers and then you lose the game. So it's kind of a point of no return. Now, it seems like Last is going to go for the hold position micro. And what he's doing is he's making the Goliaths fight the carriers while he's having the tanks and the vultures actually fight where the carriers are not. That's going to force the carriers to come down here and hit this location. And he may try to engage the carriers here, or he may try to get this other base. It looks like it's going to be this other base.
Right, so this is the big mech push. A little bit more mobile because there's more Goliaths, less Vikings, but those DTs still doing work in the back.
Well, this is going to be awkward because Protoss is going to be stuck on just one mining base. while Terran can continue to eat up the map. But as you can see, over this ledge, the the Goliath can't quite get over here. Now, does he have enough interceptors? We're going to see. This might be too many Goliaths.
Well, and also, you said Protoss only one mining base. Interceptors cost money.
Exactly.
And Goliaths will kill them.
And that's exactly what Last knows. He says, all right, I'm gonna use the carriers against you. I'm gonna keep killing off these interceptors. Eventually, Protoss has to go back and spam the I key to make more interceptors. But then all of his interceptors are going to, all his money's going to interceptors, not to other units. And eventually, Terran just takes the rest of the map, gets more minerals, maxes out on Goliaths. In fact, he may already be maxed out.
Right, and you were talking about taking the rest of the map. That's exactly what Last is about to do. He lifted his command center that he's just built, and is going to move that down to the 7 o'clock, or no, it's more like 8 o'clock base down there.
Well, this is the point of no return, because he's going to try to be offensive with these carriers, which means he has to be very careful how he moves this. He wants to make a beeline and tear up each of the command centers.
He's losing his
and
main
take out the factories. He's going to sack his main in the hopes that he can just do so much damage over here. But I think that Last is a better player. He's going to send back just his Goliaths. He's going to just hold position this here, maybe even spam out a few more turrets.
All right, well, all of the turrets there in the base have gone down. That Goliath's actually getting good damage on the actual carriers themselves. But you don't want to get damaged. Obviously, you want the interceptors to tank.
I feel like slowly over time, Last should take this game. You could see that he's
so many Goliaths.
Yeah, he's just able to get under this. Now, any extra damage he does to these carriers.
Oh, and he's actually killing one right there. I believe that was the explosion. It's hard to tell when a lot of interceptors die versus when a carrier dies.
Yeah. It kind of looks funny. Now, in fairness, Best is doing a good job. Notice how he's kind of slowly kiting these away so the interceptors just can spam out and kill the Goliaths. The Goliaths can't quite do as much damage. But, I mean, it's going to be a one-base Protoss with absolutely no tech. And mining. I mean, all these interceptors can do is basically mine minerals to make more interceptors.
The interceptors? You said the interceptors could mine minerals.
I'm sorry.
That'd be the best carriers
probes,
ever.
They actually just come out and like grab all the minerals really fast and go back, and they return it to the carrier that also works like a Nexus. No, it's like you can just see, like, even though Best has this army that Last can engage, Last is playing the long game here.
Well, he's playing the more mobile game too. Carriers are so slow, and if he loses this base, that's his only mining base.
Yeah, that's it. And by the way, lose conditions are the same in StarCraft 1 as they are in StarCraft 2.
Man. You're doing fine until all your stuff dies.
Yeah, if you don't have any buildings, you're not allowed to play the game any further.
No, man.
He's going to take out the remainder of these probes, and this looks like it should be checkmate. All that Last has to do here is hold with Goliaths in his base, and all he has to do for that is make turrets and more Goliaths. And eventually the interceptors will dry up, and it will be physically impossible to win this game. Now, go ahead. No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, if Best does get over the production line and kill all the factories, then there is a point at which Best or Last can actually just not build Goliaths at all, and then he loses.
That is true as well. Let's see if he can do that. Now that's easier said than done, because all Terry needs to do is make these turrets. Even though these turrets die so fast, every interceptor you kill, it's kind of wild.
Now, I think a lot of those turrets were not finished building yet, so this might be the big push.
Okay.
This is it.
Here we go. He's going to target down the factories. He's saying, do you have enough? And the Goliaths are actually being pulled back here.
Yeah, there's actually no anti-air in this main aside from just a couple Goliaths and a few turrets up. So this, but he does actually have a lot of Goliaths coming back.
Now, dude, I'll tell you, man, if he can get those armories that are just over this, and he could stop Goliaths from being made, that would be huge. But the Goliaths are starting to go under. Now, he's going to try to abuse the fact that the factories kind of get in the way of the Goliaths. He could start to try to back this up.
Oh, but I think he's losing too many interceptors, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Oh my God, yeah, there's too many Goliaths here.
You see the interceptors, it's slowly, yep, there it is. GG, what a great game, awesome. Damn.
Wow, what a good night of games. This is Brood War at maybe not its finest, but it's definitely getting there, and the more you guys watch, where these guys make sick-ass plays, the better everything is. We're making the world a better place
It's so crazy that we're even getting to cast this. This game is still this active. Great job there. You don't really see a game like that anywhere else in RTS. PBT, where the Protoss goes for carriers. I think that overall, the decision to do it on that map was unwise. A little bit myopic, because I don't know how exactly you're going to close that out, but I think that Last had a little bit too much muscle. He was able to just beat Best back. Eventually, he just had too many Goliaths. The Interceptors couldn't do anything, and he managed to wipe out the rest of the bases.
And there's a big meta game going on there too, with like resources versus carriers, because you have to keep your bases safe to get resource for the Interceptors. You have to keep the carriers moving around to deal damage. So lots of different things going on all at the same time. Such a fantastic match.
Yeah, it's so funny how that works. So the normal way that matchup works is the Protoss stays on Arbiters, tries to get good stasises, because maxed out Terran Army head-to-head against a maxed out Protoss Army, the Terran Army pretty much always wins. So what Terran tries to do is stasis, ideally the clumps of tanks, come in there, win by beating half the army. They let the rest of that army unfreeze. Then they beat back. Slowly, Protoss acquires too much equity on the map, has too many resources. They can also win with recalls. But because that drop saw that initial one Arbiter pop out, Best took a risk. He said, all right, I'm going to totally shift gears. I'm going to go into carriers. And he wasn't able to get that critical mass. If he can get about 6 or 7 instead of the 3 that he had, before you show them to the Terran, you can sometimes snowball the game.
This is PVZ, or PBT rather, with Professor Tasteless, guys. Sooner or later, a university is going to let this guy actually teach classes.
They
That's
better,
where
man.
you need to go, man.
They'd be the coolest teacher ever, man.
Let's take a look at today's results. You can see effort there in an insane game. Almost my favorite game of the entire ASL so far, with a win there over Free, and just winners all the way down the left-hand side of your screen, with Sharp over Larva, Zero over Mind, and Last over Best.
So this was a very special night. Guys, this is going to be a regular thing all the time. Just like GSL Code S.
It's like the fountain of youth, but instead of youth, it's Brood War.
It's the best esports ever. So here's what our groups are looking like so far. Now, remember, guys, we're going to be back Tuesday night, same time, same place, starting at 7 o'clock. And if you watch this and you enjoyed this, get your act together and join us also for the GSL. That's our StarCraft 2 tournament, where we cover that on Wednesdays and Fridays. That's right.
So we've got StarCraft 2, we've got Brood War, both working together. There's just awesome action everywhere.
If you love one of these games, you can love them both.
I mean, they're both called StarCraft, actually. We call it Brood War because that's the name of the expansion.
Right.
But it's still StarCraft, just like StarCraft 2.
It's the two best RTSs. There's no dispute about this. Like, this is a fact. Brood War, the hardest game that's ever been made. That's also a fact. Come join us. Come join us.
I'm
for
right
this
here,
tournament.
Tasteless. I literally came and joined you, man.
You did. But the people at home, they need to keep joining us. Join the cult of StarCraft. It's going to be a fantastic next few weeks as we get to see the story unfold and eventually crown, currently in 2016, the best Brood War player in the entire world.
And maybe there are Brood War players out there in the world. If you guys play Brood War, then tell your friends to play it too. You can play them, you can stop them, and you can make them Brood War fans at the same time.
That's right. And if you played StarCraft 2, a lot of your skills are going to translate over into this game. So, next, this upcoming Tuesday, rather, it's going to be Shuttle versus SAC, Oregon versus Jaehoon, Flash versus C. I cannot wait for that. Wow. And then Mung against Hero.
Right, yeah, Flash versus C, definitely going to be the match that I'm going to be watching.
Right.
With bated breath. Not only do you get to watch Flash play, you also get to watch C, who is definitely one of the best Terrans of his time.
Easily. One of the best Terrans of all time. I think Flash is supposed to win that, but maybe not. I mean, C is very good. He was quite a revolutionary in the matchup TBT.
Yeah, man. And if you guys are fans of Team Liquid now, he actually just briefly joined that because he was so good at that time, and then kind of moved on to out to sea, floated away. And now he's back.
Yeah.
He's washed up on the shore, but definitely not washed up as a player.
That's right. Damn right. Please get out there, spread the word. I think a lot of people don't know that we now have a sister tournament to the GSL, the ASL. We're doing all the StarCraft down here. Special thanks to Mr. Che and the CEO, Kevin, for organizing a tournament like this and having faith in people like you. We've gotten a lot more viewers than I think anybody really expected for a game that is nearly 19 years old.
Oh, man.
And we hope these numbers keep growing. So Rapid, thank you for subbing in while Artosis is on his vacation. You did a great job.
Anytime. I'm just glad Artosis woke up in the middle of the night across the world and warged into me for tonight's broadcast.
Right. He's a warcaster. He went, oh, his eyes went white, and you were like, Mecha so good. Guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever the hell you are in the whole world. We love you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. From us, good night.